playing, clock is different.
Yeah.
And the energy, as much as you want the energy to be there, it's just not there. So I've been in those huddles where we're trying to, get the next person going and trying to get that energy level up. And what Kevin Byard said, I felt it. I felt it when the game was going on.
And Kevin Byard, it was in the pregame huddle.
Yeah.
And Kevin Byard screaming, "Wake TF up! Wake up! Wake up! We got a game to play. We got a job to do. Wake expletive up."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's telling to me because you have your leader, and he's trying to get himself going as well. Mm-hmm. But you have your leader, to go. We need to match and exceed their intensity. And right now, we're just not doing it.
And they looked like it.
Yeah, and you can't fabricate it. Mm-hmm. It's like no matter what you say, how much you try to get yourself going, if your body's saying no at that time, mm-hmm. it's not going to happen. And to me, that's what happened in that first half. Now, the second half, they were able to pick it up some, and Baltimore gave them a lot of opportunities. But that first half, it was like they were walking around as if it was, 3 o'clock in the morning and they were still asleep. Mm-hmm. And they were trying to force themselves to get up. And in a situation like that, there's not much a coach can do because he understands, this is what we are. And hopefully we can do enough to where the second half comes around, we are ready to go. And they were. They looked like a different team in the second half than they did in the first.
And I don't think that was a better team.
No, it really wasn't. It wasn't.
It was a little bit of a slow start, low scoring. What was the score at half? 9-6? At that point, had the Ravens scored it? We can go back and double check.
I think it was 9-6 because they had just scored. No, it might have been a little bit more than that. Let me see. They missed a 2-point conversion, so that was 9. Was it 12? 6?
We'll go
12,
back.
3, something like that. But it was a low-scoring game, like you said.
Not an overwhelming lead for Baltimore going into the half. D-Mase, I'm so disappointed in what I saw on Sunday. Mm-hmm. It was dumb mistake after dumb mistake and shooting yourself in the foot. And like we said, you were in it.
Uh-huh.
Like, you were in that game. And it was, a drop pass to Nick Westbrook-Akine in the end zone. And in the second half, when you're down at that point 18-6, mm-hmm. you score a touchdown. Mm-hmm. You get the momentum. It's 18-15 at that point, right?
Yeah,
18-15 at that point. You're moving the ball well. You just popped off 2 big runs. Mm-hmm. Couldn't get a yard on 2nd and 1. Now it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and Ryan Tannehill throws an atrocious pick. Mm-hmm. And it really felt there that the game was over. And then sprinkled in there, you had a bunch of dumb penalties. Jeffrey Simmons, unnecessary roughness that cost you 15 yards. And Nicholas Petit-Frere penalty lining up. It was just stupid mistakes. And the Titans really, for the most part, just didn't give the Ravens a tough time in the slightest. It was just mistake after mistake.
No.
I'm disappointed. It was bad.
It was bad. They didn't do anything to help themselves Sunday. And Baltimore was trying to help them win the game, and it's just for whatever reason the Titans could take a hold of it and run.
Mm-hmm. So many penalties.
So many
Baltimore.
penalties. Pre-snap penalties and post-snap penalties are the worst. Pre-snap penalties to us is a lack of concentration, a lack of, at that particular moment, discipline. I'm not saying that you're an undisciplined player, but you got to know. And I need to go back and look at it again because I need to see if there was someone else lined up over, because they let these tackles play with their alignment. Mm-hmm. We saw a few weeks ago where the tackle, the first game of the season, where the tackle from Kansas City was like 4 yards off the ball, and he never got called for an illegal formation. And then you see a situation like Nicholas, where it's an illegal formation, but it's not like it's egregious. Mm-hmm. But they call it. Yeah. So you just never know how these certain refs are going to call particular penalties. Now, the penalty on Jeffrey Simmons, Jeffrey Simmons, he's that borderline where he may get labeled as a dirty player. Mm-hmm. I don't think no one saw what he did prior to even knocking Odell down. Odell said something to him. Watch the play. There's 3 guys on Zay Flowers. This is why I don't like it. And I'm not calling Jeffrey Simmons dirty, but this is why I don't like it, because this is a physical sport. Just going out there and playing it the right way is a physical sport. And you do not want to take food off someone's stable. You do not want to end someone's career. So you got a 5'9", 5'10", 175, 80-pound guy, Zay Flowers. Catches the ball. He's corralled by 3 guys. They're going to eventually stop the play because he can't go nowhere. Jeffrey Simmons purposely went low at his knees. I'm watching this, and I'm like, that is like, dude, you can't do that. Even if you're on my team, I'll be like, dude, that's a no-no, because you hurt that guy, his career may be over, and now you're labeled as a bad player. I wouldn't want anyone to do that to Jeffrey. So why would he then do that to another player? These are these guys' livelihood, and for you to go out of your way and try to hurt someone because you're frustrated, I'm not cool with that. I don't care if you're my player or if you're someone else's player. I like Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a damn good player, but that play right there, I don't like. Now, in one bit, I'm sure he went back and watched the film. He had to have, watched it and said, damn, I shouldn't have done that. Because you could have ended that young man's career. That's why Odell came over, because Odell saw it. That's why he said something to him. And then Jeffrey adds insult to injury by pushing him. That's just complete frustration. You can't have that. That to me leads to other things on the field. So to me, that's why that's why the whole thing started, because he went at Zay Flowers low. A 300-pound guy going at a 180-pound guy low while 3 guys already got him. You don't do that. So Odell says something, then he gets a penalty, then he pushed Baltimore closer to scoring points. You can't have that. That's something that Mike Vrabel needs to address with Jeffrey Simmons. Like, listen, 1, you can't have penalties. You're hurting us. 2, you, as physical as this game is, you can't then try to hurt another player, because I wouldn't want them to him. He could have kneed him. I don't know.
Something
but I know
happened.
He bent
Need
down.
him in the thigh.
But he deserved it. I would have did the same thing to him. Like, dude, you going at my guy. And it's not like a regular tackle. You went at him. You went at his knees while already 3 guys had him. They were going to stop the play.
Right.
You went at his knees. You're 300 and something pounds. You're watching this, and you go directly at his knee. There's nothing he can tell me that says he didn't go at that young man's knee. I am big on guys protecting one another. You can go out there, you can play physical. You can try to take a guy's head off legally. But don't go out of the way to try to hurt an individual. That's what I felt he did. Now, what he was thinking, I have no idea. But when he went at his knees, I was done with it. I'm like, yeah, he deserves it. Actually, he deserved a 15-yard penalty. I guarantee he may get fined for that hit. But he deserved a 15-yard penalty because what he did, it wasn't called for. You just gave Baltimore another advantage that they didn't already need.
He has got to keep his cool.
Exactly.
And I get it. Whatever Odell Beckham Jr. did, need him, said something to him. If I had to guess, it's probably a little bit of both.
Exactly.
Keep your cool.
Exactly.
Because what did you do right there?
Gave him 15
You
yards.
hurt the football team, and you gave them 15 yards.
Exactly.
15 yards that were valuable in that game at a point in the game where you were in it.
Yeah.
And you continue to take yourself
And
out of it.
The momentum was swinging your way. That second half, Baltimore really couldn't do the things that they probably wanted to. The Titans started to play a little bit better. But it seemed like after the interception, that momentum was going the way they wanted it to. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. Obviously, the interception to Chikakonkwo, and Ryan Tannehill explained, listen, I couldn't push off. I think there was an opportunity to hit Chig, but because he couldn't get as much on the ball as he wanted to, the ball floated in the air, and it allowed the safety to come over.
And Ryan should have known better than that.
Yeah.
To try and take a risk on that ball, because Derrick Henry was wide open in front of him. And no, it wasn't the big explosive play downfield, but at that point, Tannehill knew his ankle was hurting. And, you needed to add a little bit more juice on that ball to get it to Chig. And it was already a risky ball to begin with. and then you add on to the fact that you couldn't give it 100% of a twitch with that ankle. I thought that was a bad decision by Ryan Tannehill, and it was a bad interception. So you look at all of the mistakes that the Titans made in this game. You gave up a massive punt return.
Yeah.
You muffed a punt.
Good thing for Stonehands that he has some speed and was able to stop Duvernay from scoring. Because I think
he was the one that knocked him out of bounds.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the muffed punt that you just handed the Ravens a field goal on a silver platter, which why you're even trying to field that punt is absolutely beyond me. 2 seconds left on the clock.
Well, I'm not, being a former punt returner, I'm not so much concerned about the time on the clock. I don't care how much time. It could have been no seconds on the clock. The time is it doesn't matter in this situation. I know people look at it and say, it was only 2 seconds. Why did you even try to catch it? Because
but what are you going to get out of that?
No, the problem that I have is that his feet should have been on the 9-yard line. He shouldn't have went backwards to catch the football. Now, this is what I was taught, that you plant your feet on the 9-yard line, and you could take one step back, but don't
backpedal.
Yeah, don't backpedal. If it goes over your head, it goes over your head. But if you catch it at the 9-yard line, you catch it at the line. But do not take more than that one initial step back. And I was trying to figure, why was he catching it so deep, in Baltimore's territory?
Just let it go.
Again, I don't care. You can catch the ball, but you put yourself in a situation where if you would have just, if you would have played your keys, if you would have did exactly what I hope Ackerman is telling you, hey, listen, put your feet on the 9 or the 8, do not go backwards or whatnot. If you're doing that, you're not catching that ball because it was beyond, I believe it was beyond that. But it was just like you added more to the situation. Not only did you not plant your feet on the 9-yard line, but you were catching it inside the 9, I believe, and then you took your eye off of the ball. Why? I don't know. You practice with guys around you, catching the football with guys around you. It was a lack of concentration, but that has happened too many times with him.
And that's the thing is you could say, well, you could just catch a punt. See, we're getting to the point with Kyle Phillips that I don't know if he can.
Well,
he's dropped too many of them.
Well, Kears Jackson is the punt returner.
Yeah.
He's not there. And then you have Mason Kinsey does it. Mason Kinsey was okay, I thought. He caught the ball.
He was
got
fine.
Some yardage when there was yardage to be gotten.
As long as you're not a detriment to the team on special teams, I can live with it.
I don't understand then why they put him back out there again.
See, Mike Vrabel was asked about this in his press conference yesterday, and the response really frustrated me because he said, well, Amani Hooker is our backup punt returner, and he had a cast on his thumb, so he couldn't return punts. Like, it's not the question of who's out there. It's the question of why was Kyle Phillips not coached up to do the right thing in that moment? Because if Kyle Phillips is the only returner that you got, fine. But at this point, throw me out there.
Well, they're going to have to.
Because I'll just let it rock.
But they put Kyle Phillips back out there again, and obviously he caught the punt. But I don't think in a situation like that where when you've had a guy, and I know what the coaches are thinking. You can't just, after a guy has muffed a punt or dropped the ball or something, you just can't have a knee-jerk reaction and just pull him and not pull him back in the game. So you want to try to get a guy some type of confidence, like you believe in him. But I think it comes to a point where where his mistakes is superseding your beliefs, and you need to cut it and say, hey, listen, we need to get somebody else back there. You can't do what we're asking you to do, and that's to catch punts.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, we need to get somebody else out there.
So, and another thing, side note, something that I noticed, and there was a clip put out on Twitter, and I wanted your insight on it. Kyle Phillips muffs the punt, walks back to the bench. DeAndre Hopkins is sitting on the bench, and as soon as he sees Kyle Phillips walk over, DeAndre Hopkins gets up and walks away. And I think that could be a couple of things. It could be let me just give him some space. It could be like he didn't even think about it in the slightest. He just got up and went up and did his thing. Or it could be, I am so mad at you right now that I can't even be in the same vicinity as you.
It could be one of many things, and I'm not going to, sit here and speculate on what D-Hop was thinking. It could have been, frustration. Like, man, gosh, like, I don't want to be near anybody. I just want to go straight to the locker room.
Yeah.
Or he could have been upset with Kyle Phillips. Or he could have not even saw Kyle Phillips and just kind of got up and went about his business. So, I don't want to read too much into that, but I think these next upcoming weeks will show where this team, from a mental standpoint, is at. Are they going to stick together, or are they going to start to splinter? Because that game, even though it was close, honestly, it really wasn't close. Baltimore gave them opportunities, and they took advantage of a few, but not all of them.
I felt like if you blocked out the scoreboard, and I just had to guess based off of how the game was going and the mistakes that the Titans made, I would have guessed that game was more like 35-10.
Yeah.
That it felt like so much more of a blowout than it actually was. Willie and I broke this down, that the Titans handed the Ravens 10 points on a silver platter. The Jeffrey Simmons 15-yard penalty, well, that handed the Ravens 15 yards. And on that drive, they were moving the football. So I can say they at least would have gotten a field goal.
Yes.
So that's 4 points. 3 points from Tannehill's interception and 3 points from Kyle Phillips' muff punt. That's 10 points right there just off of 3 of the many mistakes that we saw the Titans make on Sunday. That's the most defeating part of just Sunday. And then you look at the big overall discussion of you're 2-4. You've scored 3 touchdowns on the road. The only offense that you got on Sunday was from your running backs and from Baltimore defensive penalties that put you up in better positions and just handed you extra downs. Like that final possession on the goal line when Malik Willis was in. How many opportunities did they get?
They had like 8 opportunities. Yes,
eight off of Baltimore defensive penalties. So it's just frustrating. The game on Sunday was frustrating, and now you're 2-4, and it doesn't leave you a whole lot of confidence of what this team can do moving forward, because now Tannehill is hurt. There's nobody walking through that door that's going to make your team exponentially better. Like, this team's not Traylon Burks away from digging themselves out of a 2-4 hole. It's just this. Your record is what you are what your record says you are. And this team is 2-4. Like, it feels like a 2-4 team. This doesn't feel like a 2-4 team that's missed some opportunities and has played really well, but the ball just didn't fall their way. No, this team has played 2 good games and has had 4 absolute stinkers.
Yeah, they need to figure this out very quickly because one, we've been talking about this team's lack of depth. And now it's starting to, it's been showing, but now it's really going to show if their quarterback can't come back in the game, if he can't play moving forward. If he miss any amount of time, it's going to be detrimental. So the lack of depth, the lack of playmakers on this team, even with the new offensive coordinator, this team seems like it's, molasses uphill. They're moving molasses uphill. They can't. It doesn't seem. It seems as if it takes them. It's so hard for them to score, even when they're playing teams that they should score on. They still have a hard time scoring. They cannot. They cannot consistently put together drives after drives after drive. And I understand this game is hard, but the Titans, for whatever reason, makes it much harder, I believe, than what it should be.
It looks hard for them. Sometimes you move between the 20s well and you can't get it into the red zone. And sometimes some games like we saw against Baltimore, they just can't move at all. They cannot move the football. And Derrick Henry almost did it single-handedly. Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears almost carried you single-handedly. And Nick Folk, MVP. MVP of the season. All right, let's continue the conversation coming up next because you bring up the quarterback about where do you go from here if Ryan Tannehill isn't good to go. But what if Ryan Tannehill is good to go? Mike Vrabel had a response to that, and it did not make a lot of Titans fans very happy. So we'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willie, D-Mase, we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettcompaniesinc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT companiesinc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Join former Tennessee Titans players Brad Hopkins, Neil O'Donnell, Dexter McCluster, and Al Smith on October 21st from 1 to 5 for the Kurdish Festival and Sports Tournament, hosted by the Salahuddin Center and NFL Alumni Tennessee. This event will be held at the Hivy Center, located at 3124 Old Franklin Road in Antioch. Activities include food, sports tournaments, a bouncy house, and updated COVID and flu vaccines available. Head to nflgearup.org/Tennessee for more information.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
It's football season, and with a game every week, there's no better time to make the switch to Zen Sports. When you sign up to Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Want an inexperienced surgeon?
Okay, nurse. I'm ready for the scalpel.
How about an inexperienced airline pilot?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, and I'm terrified.
Experience matters, and we have it.
Regal Realty Group is experienced to help you from contract to close. They know the area, understand financing, and have up-to-date property listings and comparisons. Oh, and lots of experience. Visit regalrg.com.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Had the MRI exam on Ryan. How's things looking with his ankle?
Similar to where they were last year, and so we'll see how it goes. We've got some time here for our next game, and Ryan will get treat round the clock, and this will be a big week to see how he progresses, and then we'll make a decision on his availability next week and what we do then.
Welcome.
All right, there you go. That was Mike Vrabel on Ryan Tannehill's injury. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. Willy joins the fun, too. Willy, how we doing?
What's up, guys? Good to talk to you guys. D-Mase, welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
You haven't all three been together in a hot minute.
The team is back together. We've been scattered all over the globe.
The band is back.
Yeah.
But there you go. That was Vrabel on Tannehill's MRI scan. So he did say that Tannehill's injury was similar to the first injury that he suffered last season. So the Indy injury, not the Chargers injury that then required tightrope surgery that left him out for the rest of the season. So at least a little bit of a better outlook for Ryan Tannehill. Doesn't make you feel great about the longevity for the rest of the season, but at least there's still some hope that Tannehill could be back, and he will not require surgery. That was confirmed today. TD tweeted something about how he will not require surgery, at least right now.
At least that you say it's not like the second injury, but the first injury
caused led to the second injury.
Yeah,
right.
So even though, yes, it's like the first injury, if you throw him back in there too soon, you may end up with the second injury again.
I'm also curious, now that he's had the surgery, how has that affected his mobility to this point, even before the injury, and now after it's been aggravated? What are we going to see if he does get back on the field? Because we talked about this yesterday, Caroline. Even when he came back from the first injury last year, he still wasn't nearly as mobile.
No.
He wasn't.
Yeah. He was hurting. You could tell.
Hurting. He was fighting through it because he knew his team needed him, and he battled as much as he could.
And so that's kind of been the question of, one, can Tannehill come back? If he doesn't come back, then is it Malik Willis? Is it Will Levis time? But then the question begs, what if Tannehill is good to come back? What's the plan at quarterback then?
He said he will be the starter if he's able to play.
And that's what Mike Vrabel said yesterday was, if Tannehill can go, he's going to go. He's going to be the starter. And that sent Titans fans into an absolute tizzy that Mike Vrabel could say that Ryan Tannehill would be the starter if he was healthy enough to go. But I want to know why. Like, why are Titans fans so just like salivating at the mouth at the thought of Ryan Tannehill not being the quarterback for this team? Like, do you want Malik Willis?
Well, it's obvious. It's obvious because of this. Titans fans, and I think maybe some people that are closer to the situation than the fans are, they've seen what Ryan is. They've seen him at his best and they've seen him at his worst. They know that we're not getting any better. Actually, it looks like we're going the other way. Things are getting worse. And on top of that, this roster isn't as good. At least when they went to the AFC Championship game, Ryan, he wasn't throwing for a lot of yards or anything. Derrick Henry was in his prime. He was just getting his groove going. You had playmakers on the outside.
Had a better offensive line.
So even when Ryan wasn't playing like his best or was okay, the fans saw that everyone else picked him up.
Right.
That everyone else helped. If when in doubt, turn around, give it to Derrick Henry. Didn't care.
It worked.
It's not like that anymore. This roster isn't the roster of 3 or 4 years ago. So when your quarterback isn't playing well, the roster isn't doing well or isn't good, the fans are like, well, hell, we might as well move on from him now. I am not saying move on from Ryan Tannehill, but I'm telling you what the fans are probably thinking, like, why even throw him back out there? And it's not like we throw him back out there and we're going to make the playoffs or get to the Super Bowl. So why throw him out there? Let's get things started, because you know who's gotten things started? Indianapolis with their rookie quarterback. Hopefully he will be okay. Richardson, even if he does have to have the surgery. C.J. Stroud.
He looks good.
Houston has their quarterback. Jacksonville has their quarterback. Titan fans are like, enough. Let's move on. We saw Ryan at his best. He's not at his best. We saw this roster at its best. It's not at its best. Why are you still trying to hold on? Move on. It's not like when Ryan comes back, we're going to, this team is going to go on a 8-game win streak and they're going to find themselves winning the AFC South. With or without Ryan Tannehill, the fan base feels this is not a good team. So let's get it started right now. Same thing I heard you yesterday about the Predators. Same thing with the Predators. It was like there comes a point where it's just, let's just do it. There's no time to hold on. We've held on long enough. Y'all have told us. We were waiting for y'all to tell us, let's keep the band together. Y'all have told us we don't need to keep the band together. We need to move on. I think that's where the Titans are at. At least that's where the fans are at. And Like, there's no need to keep this band together because this band ain't kicking out hits no more. They're not.
And it's going to be a different band to a large degree next year regardless. So I think that's part of it. Plus, you cannot – and we have talked about this a lot, the three of us. It's not all Tannehill's fault.
Exactly.
It's not.
And it is not he still probably gives them the best chance to win. But you cannot ignore that he's 32nd in passer rating. He's 31st in QBR. Like, you go through the metrics, he is in the 30s with his stats. And there are factors with that. But the numbers are the numbers, right? And so that fuels the argument, right? It makes it easier for a fan to say, how could you be worse than the 32nd ranked quarterback?
Did Malik Willis look much better than Ryan Tannehill
Absolutely
did on Sunday? And that's what your other option is.
That's not the only other option.
Malik Willis, who got sacked 4 times on 5 snaps and couldn't run out of bounds when the clock was running in the final 30 seconds of the game, or Will Levis, who can't even win the backup job. That is a red flag to me, because I understand that the unknown is probably a lot more interesting and alluring than what the known is when the known is not very good.
Always the most popular player in town is the backup quarterback who's never played.
Exactly.
Right?
But if Will Levis was at the level where he could win you games and would be the best option, don't you think he'd at least be the backup? Don't you think he would at least be getting more opportunities?
But they could change that in 2 days.
Exactly.
They could decide that tomorrow and say, Will Levis is going to start taking the reps while Tannehill is out, and we're going to look at him. And it sounds to me like he's going to try to get those guys a lot of reps during this bye week.
And the reason, there could be several different reasons why because like Willie said, they can just name Will Levis the starter if Ryan can't play. They don't have to sort of like go through this.
I know that, but if they were going to name him the starter, wouldn't he at least be the backup?
Not necessarily. I mean, they can. You named Malik Willis the backup because you felt like, okay, we still got a shot at this, and we hope nothing. We don't believe anything is going to happen to Ryan Tannehill. But if something does happen, we feel Malik knows more of the offense. You see what I'm saying? We feel a little bit more comfortable with him.
But if Malik knows more of the offense, then where does that leave Will Levis?
It leaves him a rookie quarterback.
But Malik looked clueless out there. That scares me. That concerns me.
I think Will Levis would have looked the same way. Y'all got to understand. This offensive line is not good.
But that's what I'm saying.
They don't have any. Their
that's what
playmakers.
I'm saying. Neither of them are very good. So, of course, Tannehill gives you the best chance to win.
But win what? That's what we got to understand. We got to come to the realization of winning what?
I don't think
no.
I don't think Malik can win you a game.
Win what?
A game.
A game?
I think that if you have Malik Willis as the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, you go 0-11.
I don't think you go 0-11. I think you win maybe
Who would you
2
beat
or 3.
on schedule? The Panthers?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I look at the but it's not necessarily. Listen, I think what is being missed here is if you take these 2 quarterbacks, because right now the Titans may be afraid of. Listen, this team isn't good, and we don't want to happen to Will Levis what we saw happen to Malik Willis last year.
I would agree.
Where he shouldn't have been out there, and to compound that team wasn't good. The offensive line wasn't good. The receivers were not good. So you put a rookie guy who shouldn't have been playing in a situation where it's not advantageous to him. He goes out there and looks like hot garbage, and then everybody's looking at him like he can't play. But ain't nobody looking at all the other guys, the 10 guys that he's playing with that is not giving him an opportunity.
I'm 100%
it would be
with
the
you.
same way with Will Levis. That's why the Titans are probably like, listen, we're not gonna do it unless we have to. We would rather put Malik Willis in than to watch what happened to Malik last year. Let that happen to our second-round draft pick.
I'm 100% with you that it is more about the other 10, and I'll say,
it's not
5.
even 10.
It's it's really just 5 on the offensive line, and then the receivers need to step up, make some catches. That it's more about them than the quarterback, and I think that we're in agreement that it probably is not the most advantageous thing for Will Levis right now to be out there. So why are Titans fans clamoring for a change at quarterback when I don't think that Malik Willis is really at a level to win you games, and when Will Levis probably isn't ready and you don't really want to throw him against that offensive line? That's my point. Is Ryan Tannehill elite? No, not even close, but he gives you the best opportunity to at least win some games.
You're still battling for this team to scrap their way into the playoffs. I think the people that are clamoring for a change are basically thinking this team is not a playoff team. So this is the theory. Would you rather be, forget about what the record ends up being, a non-playoff team trying the other two guys and letting them sort of see where they are, or playing a hobbled Tannehill and finishing short of the playoffs? If those are your two choices, then what's the best choice? Again, in the hypothetical that this team is not a playoff team. If you still think you could be a playoff team, then there's no question. You try to ride Tannehill as long as you can before you're eliminated. And that could happen in another month. I don't know. Like the way this team's going, it's hard to foresee them starting to go on a run. But anything is possible, right? The Browns just beat the 49ers with the backup quarterback in there. Anything can happen in this league for a week or two. Teams can get hot. But what about the hypothetical? If this is not a playoff team, then as a fan, I understand you want to see the new guys and see where you're at.
I can't say today if this is not a playoff team or not. So they don't look like one.
But you're still hanging on to hope. Like, you're a Vrabel.
It's week 6.
You're a Vrabel.
You're 2-4.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great, but you've got 11 games left on the schedule. You had a commanding lead over first place, and you blew it in the last 7 weeks of the season. Anything can happen. And yeah, that probably sounds a little bit more hopeful than I would like after 6 weeks, since they don't look very good. But I am under the impression of I'd like to win as many games as possible, whether that means the playoffs or not. And if you miss the playoffs.
But if you miss the playoffs, that is the opposite of what I heard from a lot of Predator fans last year, right? Who were saying, look, I'd rather pick several notches higher. Who cares? If you don't make the playoffs and you can't do anything in the playoffs anyway, why not turn the page? You know what I'm saying? It's the opposite argument you're making of what I heard from a lot of Predator fans last year. Fair?
Because you're already going to tear it down next year. You know that this franchise is going in a different direction. With the Predators, we didn't know what the plan was. We didn't know what direction that they were going to go in. We know that the Titans have already drafted their quarterback of the future. We know next season it's probably more likely than not that Tannehill is not the starting quarterback. I don't know if Henry's going to be here. I don't know if Byard's going to be here. We know that this franchise is in pivot mode. So I say take advantage of an opportunity of maybe being able to make the playoffs and winning as many games as possible. And if that means that you pick at 16 instead of 12, so be it. I'll be okay with that. I will be willing to jump off of that take and of that belief if and when that day comes that this team is just completely out of it. But week 6, I'm not willing to do that yet.
You got to believe, can they win 8 out of 11?
I am cautiously, and I mean very cautiously, like gingerly. I'm like going at the stove really, really slow. And people are looking like, is he ever going to touch it? I am cautiously optimistic that they can win enough games to put themselves in the playoffs. Cautiously. I'm not going to sit here and say they can't, because things can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm being realistic. Yeah. What I've seen when they were healthy and they're starting to get injured now, this isn't, and it's not something that we haven't said prior to this. This is not a good roster. When they are healthy and they're all 11 on offense is healthy, all 11 on defense is healthy, they're a good team, like the 11 starters on both sides. But when you start looking at the depth behind it, this is not a good roster.
No.
This is not a good roster.
This team stinks.
And to me,
then why would you say that you think they can win 8 out of 11 and make the playoffs? That's the catch-22.
To me, it's like,
because I think that anything can happen in the National
Football
League.
So you're like me. You're cautiously,
I'm incredibly cautiously optimistic. But I'm going to ride the path of what I think leads you to as winning as many games as possible.
When this stuff
starts
coming out,
Ryan Tannehill.
When this stuff, you hear guys saying certain things, and this is coming out and that is coming out. It's not by happenstance. It's not. It's not by happenstance that Jeffrey Simmons says what he says. It's not by happenstance that Tia Tart tweets what he says. It's not by happenstance that Kevin Byard says his speech before the game. These are not things that just all of a sudden just happen like, oh, by the way, this happened. No, these things have been building up. They've been watching it. Now it seems like this house is about to get ready to crumble. So now it's like this fire drill now. Now everybody's trying to run and put out fires or trying to say, hey, there's a fire over there, there's a fire over here, there's a fire over here. Well, there's been fires. Now y'all finally realize what's going on again. This was never a good roster. This season, I'm not talking about last season. This season, this wasn't a good roster to start. And I think everybody knew it. But they were holding on to Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, D-Hop. Like, please, these 5-6 guys can maybe get us over the hump. Right now, it don't look like they can get them over the hump.
And I'm willing to ride it until it doesn't work anymore.
Okay, so let's say they lose to Atlanta.
Okay.
And the trade deadline's coming. Would you still feel the same way with one more loss? They could win 8 out of the last 10?
No, I wouldn't feel great about it. But I'm just talking about Tannehill versus going on to another quarterback. That's what I'm talking about here. Because
so you
a lot
would rather
of Titans
finish,
fans,
let's say you finish 8-9 with Tannehill, the quarterback, as opposed to at some point seeing what Willis and Levis can do. You would vote for that if that's what it ended
well,
up
if it
being?
gets to a certain point at the end of the season, in week 15, that you're very clearly not going to make the playoffs, then yeah, sure. If you want to see some of the young guys get experience, then I would be more than happy to entertain that option. I'm just saying right now, when you're not out of it, I still think Tannehill gives you the best opportunity.
I agree
to win.
on that, if he's healthy.
Yeah,
if he's healthy, yes.
But each week it's going to be reevaluated every game they lose.
We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Tuesday, people. Man, I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that wonderful and experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now, men, to have a healthy lifestyle. So what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458, or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Lee Company is the trusted expert for heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and general maintenance for facilities throughout Kentucky and Tennessee. Our technology and expertise guides facility owners and managers to smart decisions. When you need a reliable partner to keep your facility profitable and running 24/7, we hope you'll think of us. Visit LeeCompany.com to learn more. That's LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Need cash now instead of having to wait for your current house to sell? Don't get ripped off by one of those I buy your house people. Call Loan Pronto. Hey, Willy Donick here. Loan Pronto's Dream Home Bridge Loan can help tap your equity so you can get the cash you need. Make a clean offer on that new home or that investment property with cash to cover the down payment. With this amazing program, you can get the cash in a matter of days. Very little paperwork, and usually no appraisal is needed. So you can go after the house you want with no contingency. Then when your current house sells, the bridge loan completely disappears. Don't put off your dream. Let Loan Pronto help you leverage your equity so you can get the cash to make a solid, clean offer. Call now, 615-499-5780. Ask about the Dream Home Bridge Loan. LoanPronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolex. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Yo, J Balvin here. Verizon just hooked me up with a new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. How can you get one? By switching to my plan at your Verizon store, get the amazing new iPhone 15 Pro on them. When you trade in any iPhone, any model, any condition, guaranteed. And listen to my new song, Dientes, on your way to get the new iPhone 15 Pro.
Don't miss out. Switch to my plan from Verizon today. It's your Verizon. $999.99, 128 gigabyte only. Device payment purchase or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on unlimited ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in or promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday. Yeah, it's awesome. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators in action tonight against Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers. And I know that those two names send shivers down Preds fans' spines, but it'll be nice to have Matthias Ekholm back in the building for the first time since he was traded away from the Nashville Predators. Puck drop at 7 o'clock tonight. Pre-game will start at 6 o'clock right here on 102.5 The Game. Let's get into some of your thoughts. We're talking Tannehill because Mike Vrabel said yesterday, hey, if Tannehill's healthy enough to go against the Falcons, he's going to go. When Ryan Tannehill is back and healthy, he will be the starting quarterback. And a lot of Titans fans weren't very happy about that. But Glenn from Greenbrier texts in. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you have a thought. Glenn Texan says, Caroline, along with the organization, are swimming in denial. It is time to tear it down and start the rebuild. So, okay, let's do that. Let's completely tear it down. You're going to bench Tannehill. Let's throw Will Levis out there. Trade away Derrick Henry. Trade away DeAndre Hopkins. So you're going to put your future franchise quarterback in there behind that crap offensive line without Derrick Henry and with average at best pass catchers. I'm good. If you're looking toward the future, then I don't want to mortgage my future by putting him out there against an offensive line that already got Tannehill killed.
No, you have to find this, if indeed this is the road you're traveling. And it's going to come a point if they don't start winning games, possibly before the trade deadline. And I think they got, one or two games? Yeah, one game before the trade deadline.
Yeah. Bye, and then Falcons.
Yeah, if they come out, play the Falcons, don't win a game, and it doesn't look as if, the offense is getting any type of momentum. The defense is starting to, with the exception of the red zone, the defense is slowly taking steps back, and they're not fully healthy. Then that you got to make the decision on, is it better or beneficial to, move on, because we got to understand, and you know, you don't want to look too far ahead in the future, but we got to understand this organization don't have many picks. On a team, on an organization that's trying to rebuild their roster, they don't have many picks in the draft. So if you don't have many picks in the draft, your roster's not already good. How then do you accrue those picks again? Well, you're going to have to make some trades. You're going to have to, as heartbreaking as it may be, there may be guys that you have to part ways with because of the situation. Not that you want to part ways, but the business at hand says, hey, listen, we got to part ways with the guys. We got to build up our, you know, we got to build up our stock in regards to picks. So after this game against Atlanta, there's going to have to be a decision made by this organization. Do we punt on the season and just try, like the Predators, let's let these young guys play and let's do what we need to do? I remember it happening to us when we had a bunch of injuries, I think in 03, 02, one of those, and it was like, we just got to play these young guys. We're always going to be competitive, but we know we don't have a roster to beat the top teams that we're trying to get through to get to the playoffs. We went down to Indianapolis. There was no way. We were up on Indianapolis, 21-0, I think. Onside kicks, doing all this stuff. But
wild.
Then when the rubber met the road, the better team won. Indianapolis said, all right, enough of this. Enough of this. I think they ended up beating us. They scored 30 or 40 points. Because ultimately, after doing all these shucking and jiving and look at this hand and do something else, the better team's going to win. In that time, the better team won Indianapolis. I think no matter what the Titans are doing now, after this bye week, going into Atlanta game, if they don't see some type of, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, that's when they're going to have to make a decision. Like, do we hold on? And what are we holding on for? Or do we say, you know what, as much as we hate this, we knew it was eventually going to come. We tried to squeeze as much juice out of this orange as possible, and we just couldn't. So now we need to possibly part ways with guys, accrue these picks, and start to build our franchise back up. Because you remember, in 3 to 4 more years, they're going to be moving into that new stadium. I've always said that. They need to have a team, when they move into that stadium, that can compete. Because people ain't going to paying those prices if you don't have a team that can compete.
I've said it, and I stand by it. If after the Atlanta game, if whatever pick you would get in return is more valuable to your franchise than that individual player, then you have to make that move. You need to at least pick up the phone, and you need to have the conversations. The only point that I am making is I'm not going to bench Ryan Tannehill for Malik Willis or Will Levis.
What if he's not fully 100% healthy, even after the bye?
I think that's an interesting hypothetical.
Vrabel said if he's healthy enough to go, he'll start.
But what is healthy enough?
I don't know.
That's right, What is healthy enough?
Say it looks like last year's Ryan Tannehill, where he's in there, but he's not mobile. I think that's a tough dilemma. Because it is kind of a ride or die situation. I think everybody's going to be very clear on what we're laying out here. This is a must-win.
Yes.
Against the Falcons. If they lose this game and don't look very good, they've been a good home team. If they can go out and play well at home, they get to 3-4. There's probably some positive, hey, there's still some hope. If they lose, then I think if you're Rand Carthon, you'd be crazy not to see if you could get another draft pick or two. I don't think you're going to get 4 trades like the Predators last year and get a bunch of draft picks back. But 1 or 2 trades for a couple of key guys, if it's a draft pick worth getting, you got to look at that for sure. That's why I'm wondering if Tannehill is hobbled but wants to go out there. They're probably going to give him a chance to go out there. If he gets a green light medically, and he says, Steve McNair-esque, look, I can go. I'm going to play on one leg. They'll probably give him a chance to do it. But I don't know how that's going to look.
No.
Again, with that line, that's tough. That's
It's
a tough
scary.
ask. That's scary.
And if he's not good enough to go, then you don't play him.
And by the way, the Falcons have a pretty good defense. If you look statistically, it's a pretty good defense. It's not
defense.
Cleveland. But it's not bad.
615, they do have a good defense. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, will join us coming up next. Can't wait to get his evaluation of where the Titans are at and how they performed on Sunday. We'll get to Tim Hasselbeck coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. Some people put off things that need doing. Not you. Harbor Freight knows you're a today's the day kind of person. An I'm on it kind of person. A bring it kind of person. So, if you're rolling up your sleeves today and you don't want to overpay for tools, you're a Harbor Freight kind of person. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra, results vary.
Out on the trail this morning, the cool fall air whispered to this old cowboy that fall is here and it's time for football tailgates, bonfires, and hockey nights in Nashville. And when it comes to my adult beverages, you can bet your snakeskin boots that I'm going to be loading my wagon at Red Spirits and Wine. At Red, I can always find what wets my whistle, whether I'm in the mood for a great single barrel whiskey, a fine bottle of vino, a smooth smoking cigar, or a growler of my favorite craft brew. Red's got you covered when it comes to selection and price, but it's Red's Cracker Jack crew that always gives me the best service and recommendations. Heck, I could tell you all the great things about Red until I'm blue in the face, but I reckon you just need to see the best darn water and depot for yourself. That's Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South and Old Hickory Boulevard, or online at Instagram, Facebook, and redspirits.com.
Now, your Game Center Update.
This Game Center Update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. The Tennessee Titans are now at the bye week and have decisions to make at the quarterback position. Yesterday, quarterback Ryan Tannehill underwent an MRI, and his availability could come into question in the coming weeks. News coming from Jeff Darlington, Ryan Tannehill will not require surgery for his high ankle sprain. Yesterday, head coach Mike Vrabel spoke to the media on Ryan Tannehill's availability after the bye week versus the Atlanta Falcons.
So we'll see how it goes. We've got some time here for our next game, and Ryan will get treat round the clock, and this will be a big week to see how he progresses, and then we'll make a decision on his availability next week and what we do then.
Tune in tonight as the MTSU Blue Raiders go on the road and take on the Liberty Flames. You can listen to the game on 93.3 Classic Hits with coverage beginning at 5 p.m. Later, tune in to Nashville Predators hockey with puck drop at 7 p.m. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We're live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. We're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. The Predators in action tonight, hosting the Edmonton Oilers. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. Pre-game starts here at 6 o'clock on 102.5, The Game. Joining us now is ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, always appreciate our chats with you. It was a brutal morning watching the Titans get beat down by the Baltimore Ravens in London on Sunday. If you had to choose one word to describe what you saw from the Titans on Sunday, what would it be?
Torn between disappointing and ugly. I think maybe I go with disappointing.
Ugly also applies.
Fair. Ugly applies also. You only give me one. They probably both apply.
You can combine them both.
Yeah.
Ugly, disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointing and ugly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like these London games in general. I feel like you get some curveballs for sure. I mean, just look at Buffalo a couple weeks ago, right? So it does happen where you get this kind of an off performance, but. I think it's been experienced enough. I think there's probably enough data. There's probably enough information with, how teams travel, how they approach it, how they do all of those things to, prevent that from being the case, for your team if you're over there playing. So, I think because of that, that's where the disappointment comes up. Mm-hmm. And then I think in terms of, the ugly, it just seems like it has been, and I think, Caroline, I think you asked me about this last week, just the up and down nature of the offense. And that is just, that's just really frustrating as well. When it's 1 week, it seems like the ball's never hitting the ground. And the next week, it's like, man, it's a battle to complete, half your passes. And so I just think when you look at that, that's also the part of it that's probably ugly.
Yeah, total inconsistency from this team. And, they always say that you are what your record says you are. And this team is very much so 2-4. 2 good games and 4 absolute clunkers. But the Titans have a bye this week, and then the Atlanta Falcons the following week, and then the trade deadline just a couple days after that. In your opinion, what would you need to see from this team to help you decide what to do at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think you would have to see a lot of, I think you need to see encouraging signs, because I think what you're getting at, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the bye happens, let's say you don't see the signs of promise that you need, kind of between now and the trade deadline. Do you trade players that, maybe because of contract or otherwise, might not be on your roster a year from now in order to get the ammunition you need to have a better team 2024 and beyond? And so what would I need to see? I mean, I think I would need to see a lot of improvement, probably just across the board in terms of just offensive production and efficiency. And I think some ways, if you're not getting it on a certain side of the ball, that maybe puts into question things that you would do on the other side of the ball in terms of personnel. So, because I do think you're getting to that point, especially when you just look at the AFC. Look, if you come out of the bye week, play a game, and you're 2-5, yeah, I think you have to make some hard decisions. And then, what do I mean about seeing some efficiency? Titans are 1 for 9 on third down.
Bad.
There are some things so if you're not seeing signs of life, I think you probably need to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk with Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst. Now, Tim, when you hear a comment like Jeffrey Simmons makes and says, well, we're going to find out who wants to be here, who wants to be a Titan, who wants to play, as a Titan. Essentially, I'm just paraphrasing what he said after the game. What goes through your mind? Because to me, when a guy says that, one is it's frustration, but then two, it's something that's being seen by that player or players, that now that they're losing, they're all of a sudden now it's starting to come out. Like,
yeah,
we're going to find out who really wants to be on this team and who doesn't.
Yeah, when I hear things like that, and I'd be curious if you had a similar experience to mine. But when you hear things like that, the things that jump out to me are things like this: has a culture developed on the team? Maybe it's younger players, but has a culture developed on the team where, like, Friday night becomes a big social night, and the way guys roll in to walk through on Saturday is, not really what you would consider for championship caliber teams. Is there, a lack of effort at practice, or is there a lack of effort in terms of like attention to details, in terms of really trying to be prepared each and every week? Is there effort that you see maybe even on game day, or an attitude that is, just not a culture of a winning attitude, like fully invested in the process? So that's what that says to me. When you hear a star player who's been an awesome player, who's clearly committed to the organization, when he says something like that.
Yes.
And I would be curious to think if you feel like it's a similar thing from your experience.
Yeah, it's typically, to me, when things like that start to come out, there are things like you said. Are guys rolling in late to lifting weights? Are guys, if you're supposed to lift at 8, are you rolling in at 8:30? Or if you're are you coming in 2 or 3 minutes late to meetings? All these things that were not happening, now they're starting to happen, and then because we're losing, now it comes out in an interview. So just like you players see these changes, whether it be the player himself or he sees it in other guys that are coming into meetings late, not doing what they're supposed to do, coming out to practice late, and then you just get frustrated as a player, and you voice those frustrations through the media.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I think what happens is, like, sometimes it's like not a big deal when you're winning.
Exactly.
And then when you're losing and you got guys looking around being like, wait a second, like, everyone here knows I've got a torn labrum, but yet I'm the first one into the lift. I'm staying late watching film. I'm doing all of this and all of that. And then I'm looking around and it doesn't feel like the same level of commitment, And I think that's I think that's where the frustration is heard.
Now, do you think the NFL should mandate, teams, if they're playing overseas, to leave either that Tuesday? Because it was clear, Baltimore left early. Jacksonville was already in London or overseas, and there was a clear distinction on teams that had been there for a while and teams that just got there. Because Buffalo looked horrible. They looked lackluster. And then the Tennessee Titans, who didn't travel over there until, I believe, Thursday, they look lackluster. So in order just to get a better game, should the league mandate that these teams leave a little bit earlier?
I don't think that the league should be responsible for saying when you have to go there. Because I think if the league starts saying, like, hey, you guys got to come on Tuesday, like, they may end up filling your week with other things that are non-football that, maybe become a distraction to actually getting ready to play the game. And if, your coach and your organization believes that, look, we're better off with our own training room and our own practice fields and guys sleeping in their own beds versus, spending that much time away from home, if they think that that's what's best for their team, then I think they should be able to make that decision. And I think that's where, and look, you played for different organizations. I did as well. Not every team travels the same. And not everybody just spends the same amount of money on how they travel, and not everybody does it at the same level as everybody else. And so I think that, look, that's just something that players need to take note of. You know, how do we fly? Where do we stay? How do we handle, games that are, across the Atlantic Ocean? How do they take care of us in those moments? And I think that, players may start to pay attention to that stuff.
We're talking to Tim Hasselbeck. And Tim, they always say the quarterback gets too much blame, too much credit. So when you evaluate Ryan Tannehill, there are a lot of people saying, well, look at the numbers. The numbers are really bad. He ranks 31st, 32nd in a lot of key categories, and not a whole lot higher than about 27th in any of them. And now he's got the high ankle sprain. So how would you evaluate him? He's going to be the starter if he comes back, but now you factor in mobility, which has been a strength of his, could be limited. How do they make it work going forward? I can see the argument of, why not just turn the page?
Yeah, I don't know that I would be ready to turn the page. And I think the guy that gives you the best chance of turning it around, from a 2-4 season to, going, 4-2 over your next 6 games, I believe on the roster is Ryan. So, that's why I would not be eager to turn the page. You're exactly right in terms of the mobility. I actually think that they probably could be more aggressive with him when he's healthy as a runner and as a designed runner. So, depending on what he looks like and if you're less apt to run him, I think the bigger question I would have would end up being, does sitting him for a little bit get me back the guy that gives me my best chance to win, once we or closer to November or in November? That would be the question I ask. And then, with that, can you win with one of the guys that you have? So, look, I don't think that Ryan has played in a way that it doesn't at least make you have that conversation about how to handle him, where I think, look, when Joe Burrow wants to come play and he's clearly not totally right because of the calf injury, look, that's just his call, and you're going to play him. I think with how things have gone offensively, and not that it's been all his fault, I think you at least have to have the conversation of, all right, what if we sit him? We get a bye week, and we sit him, and we get him 2 weeks, 3 weeks off. We then have a healthy Ryan, and we also learn a little bit more about where other quarterbacks are.
On where other quarterbacks are, let's hit you with a couple. C.J. Stroud looks really good, and that was not something the Titans were hoping to see this early here. So just how good do you think he looks?
I think he looks really good. A couple things that they've done a good job of is, what D'Amico Ryans is doing down there reminds me a little bit of Sean McDermott early, years in Buffalo, in that they're doing a great job creating turnovers. They're not getting crazy offensively. And I think because of that, it's helped the quarterback play well from the standpoint of, he's just not making bad decisions. So, and that's not to take anything away from how he's played, but, offensively, they haven't been lighting people on fire, but he's been making enough plays. He's certainly thrown the ball well, but he's not turning it over. And so because of that, they're just in games, and then you look at their schedule, they're going to be in the mix if they improve a little bit on offense. So, he's played well. I think it's fair to say he's probably exceeded expectations.
And then how in the world do the Browns, the Jets, and the Giants play the way they played in this league with the backup quarterbacks in? If you consider Zach Wilson the backup, which you really did. But the Jets beat the Eagles. The Browns beat the 49ers. and the Giants were one play away from beating the Bills in Buffalo.
Bad call.
With the backup quarterbacks
None
in.
call.
That's one of those where just when you think you have the league figured out, something like that happens.
Well, here's what I'd say, and two things stick out from San Francisco's perspective that kept the Browns in it. Well, and let me just say this. So all of those teams that you mentioned, they all have good defenses. The Browns' defense is really good. The Jets' defense is a championship caliber defense, and the Giants have a good defense. So that can keep you in it for sure. And we talk so much about offense, and I think sometimes, we slight that side of the ball. And then I would say this. The Niners, they had so many busts up front this past week. They just blew assignments, and it impacted how Purdy played. I think the weather impacted how Purdy played. He missed throws, and they just weren't the same. That's why that game turned out the way it did. The Jets-Eagles. So that defense obviously was great. Zach Wilson did not turn the football over. Robert Saleh said it. If Zach Wilson doesn't turn the football over, they're going to win a bunch of football games. That's how good the defense is. And so I think that ended up being a factor there. And from the Eagles' perspective, they were winning. So other than the very start of the game at 0-0, they're winning the entire game until there's inside 2 minutes left. And Jalen Hurts had 45 attempts. That's not their formula. The Philadelphia Eagles completely got away from how they really should be playing football. They did. And then in Buffalo, we're talking about London games. Look, you got to fly back too, right? And so
that's probably harder, right?
Yeah.
I would think so. And so I think in that environment, couple turnovers, they just got off to a really, really slow start, and they were a different team in the second half. But I do think it was an impressive effort by the Giants with not just backup quarterback, but other backups that they had. But that to me ended up being, turnover game. And then obviously, the bad decision by the Giants was rough.
Now, Tim, is the LA Chargers the new Dallas Cowboys? Because I think the Staley, the Staley regime, I think it's past due. I think they need to move on. I know Justin Herbert is dealing with an injury on his non-throwing hand, but it just seems like when they get in these situations, he or Staley always does something that costs them the game. It's like they just like Dallas. They always do something at the end that costs themselves the game. The LA Chargers are the same way.
There's something about the Chargers that I just can't, they're the team where it's really? As good as you are, that's how you finish? And so, yeah, if that's how people viewed the Cowboys, probably so. I thought Staley was on the hot seat a year ago. I actually thought Kellen Moore was potentially a candidate to replace him as a head coach. And so that dynamic out there, I think, is very interesting. So much so that if they continue to underperform, is there a move during the year at head coach? And you give Kellen Moore an opportunity to maybe change it? So, and I would say this about Justin Herbert. I think he's a great player. I love watching him play. But broken finger on your left hand impact your accuracy on your right hand?
Exactly.
When Willy had a blister on his right index finger, did it hurt his curveball? I don't know. I don't know that it did.
Fair question.
I thought that he missed too many throws last night, and so I think there's legitimate reason to be look, as hard as everybody is on Dak Prescott, Dak misses a touchdown throw at the end of the game. They have to settle for 3. That there's a very good chance that cost them the football game. But we're more talking about, some of the misses that Justin Herbert had, which I think is fair based on some of the throws he missed.
ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, appreciate you as always. We'll chat next week.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. Tim Hasselbeck, he is the very best. It does feel like the Chargers have some sort of bugaboo.
Man. Gosh.
Just something they just can't quite get off their backs. But we talked with Tim about the big decisions that are now facing the Titans in the next few weeks. By this week, then the Falcons, then the trade deadline. What Mike Vrabel said about what they could do and what they're keeping in mind over the next few weeks. We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You once again about Loan Pronto. I've been telling you all fall about the Dream Home Bridge loan. So if you're still in that mode of looking and maybe finding the dream home you've been looking for, but you're wondering, how do I have the cash to make the down payment and how do I bridge it? I got to wait till my current home sells. I'm short on cash. Well, the way you do it is through Loan Pronto's Dream Home Bridge loan. Call 615-499-5780 and ask about that. And really, anytime you need some cash from your home's equity, you're sitting in a good position because Loan Pronto can get you cash out of your home's equity, and they can get it to you fast. So you can get the cash to pay whatever bills you need to pay, whether it's credit card bills, other bills, car loans, things like that, high-interest debt. Use that to your advantage. Loan Pronto is just a phone call away, 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Introducing Gen Y Hitch, the ultimate towing solution for the modern adventurer. Whether you're hauling a boat, RV, or heavy cargo, Gen Y Hitch is your dependable companion. With its innovative design and cutting-edge technology, it delivers unrivaled stability and safety on the road. Crafted with precision engineering and built to last, Gen Y Hitch ensures a smooth and secure towing experience. Say goodbye to the hassle of traditional hitches and embrace the future of towing. You can find our full range of products and accessories at GenYHitch.com. Upgrade to Gen Y Hitch and tow with confidence. Your journey starts here.
Seriously, it's the same commercial every time.
All right.
Okay? There's 4 major points that we need to make.
Yes, sir.
Good customer service.
All right.
Good quality vehicles.
Check. Got it.
We've been in business since 1987.
87, right.
And we can finance anyone on any car.
Wow. A fiddle player? Any car? How's this? Franklin Motors. The choice is clear. Franklin Motors.
Your ride is here.
Franklin Motors TM.com, or come on by for a test drive.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting the latest iPhone, check this out. With Boost Infinite, you get the latest iPhone every year and unlimited wireless for just $60 a month. Yeah, you get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. Then again, next year you get the latest iPhone. Every year. Boost Infinite. Infinitely better. To learn more, pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. Terms apply. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slowed. Receive a comparable iPhone model each year with an acceptable trade-in every year. Requires credit qualification and 36-month phone financing agreement. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station's network.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Nashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach week 8 of college football and week 7 of the NFL. Another week of covering the spread and not winning for me. 7-1.
Unbelievable.
7-1 on the season.
And another week of success for D-Mase, who continues to lap the field.
Just
Hey,
don't
man,
get it.
it's just, listen, the air is very thin at the top, you know.
Just feel like one of these days I'm going to break through. I could have made a lot of money betting against the spread, but Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Just spoke with Tim Hasselbeck, and he touched on, I think, one of the biggest questions that's surrounding this Tennessee Titans team is, where does this team go? Bye week this week, then the Atlanta Falcons just a couple of days before the NFL trade deadline. Now, of course, the trade deadline and what you decide to do at it does depend on picking up the phone and looking at the offers out there. Like, if you're offered a second-round pick for Derrick Henry, love you, Derrick. See you, Derrick. I'll take the second-round pick. But then you get into, you're not always going to get in return the return that feels like an obvious move, like an obvious yes or an obvious no. The Predators, on the other hand, got the greatest haul in the history of the NHL. Well, you might get in return something that makes you think, well, geez, I don't know. For the most part, trades are more difficult than they do seem obvious. So Mike Vrabel was asked yesterday, Mike Vrabel, would you consider trading at the trade deadline? And at what point do you just try to prioritize a pick in next year's draft over winning this season? This is what Mike Vrabel had to say.
Consider trading assets at the deadline and prioritizing a draft pick in next year's draft?
I think we would always consider trying to strengthen the team, whether that's right now, this week, or in the future. Absolutely.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, when you're in a situation that the Titans find themselves in, I think all options are on the table. I think Vrabel has always said and ran for that much. Listen, every day we try to make the team better. How do we do that? Whether, before the trade deadline, bringing guys in to work out throughout the week, strengthen our practice squad to hopefully eventually bring those guys up to the active squad. What can we do to make this roster stronger from the bottom up? They're going to always do that. But now they find themselves in a situation where, it may be time to look at key guys and say, okay, moving forward, are these guys on the table? And if they are, what would it take to move them? Say if they lose against Atlanta. Are you then thinking, okay, now let's just push it all to the table, see what's out there? Are there going to be some takers? And if there are, how bad are we willing to part with these guys? Are we only willing to part with them if they're going to give us a high round draft pick, or does it really matter in regards to the draft pick? Can we get a fifth or fourth for a guy? Because they're not getting a first or a second or a third for any one of these guys, I don't think. And that's not to diminish their play. It's just that they're older guys that we're thinking about that could possibly be on the trading blocks.
And that's the big question. Is the return a better value than the player that you're getting or the player that you would be losing? And at that point, you have to ask, who's off the table? Jeffrey Simmons?
Yeah, of course your younger guys like Simmons is off the table. Skoronski's, he's off the table.
Any guys on rookie deals.
Yeah, guys that are on rookie deals, they are off the table. But when you start looking at veteran guys, for me, because I heard this conversation yesterday with Hutt and Chase and Big Joe. And they were talking about, potentially, trades and all this other stuff. To me, if you can, those guys are on a trade table, the guys that we talked about at the beginning of the season. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Kevin Byard, possibly even Amani Hooker, Danico Autry. And then one guy that I think I would trade only to help him, DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins would want to. He may not ever say anything verbally, like outward, but how would you, as a veteran guy that's been in the league 8-9 years, and you sign this big deal with the team, a 2-year deal with the team that you believe in your mind the day you sign with them, if we can get into the playoffs, I believe we can get into the playoffs. Once you get into the playoff, anything can happen. So it went from that to, damn, we might not get in the playoffs. Like, it's a long shot. As a player, as a veteran player, you got to start to think, my time is running short. Where can I go to get an opportunity, not just to get in the playoffs, but win a Super Bowl? You would be helping him out as a veteran guy saying, hey, listen, D-Hop, let us know, we're thinking about making some moves. We could potentially send you to a playoff contending team. Is that something that you would consider? I'm sure D-Hop would be like, yeah, because it's not like it's his first, fourth, or fifth year. He's in double-digit years almost. And it's not. He's closer to retirement than not.
He hasn't really been on a winning team his entire
exactly.
career.
So, to me, you may get more for him because he's been your only weapon in the pass game, like consistent weapon. And it hasn't been like explosive plays. He's been your more reliable pass catcher. So, with that, I think there's a team out there, Kansas City, who once wanted him but didn't want him to pay the money. But Kansas City, you see the problems they're having with their pass catchers.
Yes.
I'm sure Kansas City, if the deal was right, they would be willing to add D-Hop to their roster. And it's a win-win, I think, for D-Hop and for the Titans.
Yes, and also DeAndre Hopkins knows where the franchise is. That
Exactly.
Next year, you're going to have a very young, unproven quarterback, whoever it is, most likely. And so if you can get that's the thing, is can you get somebody like Kansas City and maybe another team or two to compete and say, well, we'll offer you this. If you can do that, one of the things that was a factor in the Predators being able to make out like they did in their sellers mode was that the market was good for sellers last year. I don't know what the market's going to be in the NFL. It never seems like in the NFL there are a bunch of trades. A lot of people, I think, and someday maybe we could have this debate, should the trade deadline be later in the season like it is in other sports in the NFL? Why do they have the trade deadline so early? I don't know. Like, I would think you could create a fun discussion of trade rumors and stuff if you had trade deadline after, say, 10 games or instead of after 6 or 7 games for some of these teams. But I don't know what the market is. But if the market is good, you have to pay attention, which all brings you back to what you were saying, Caroline, how big this game is against the Falcons. Because I don't think they're going to make any moves before this game. It's after the game that the groundwork will be laid. Ray and Carthon, I think these next 2 weeks will probably spend some time on the phone being nosy, as Tehran put, and that's Rand's quote, right? We're all nosy, right, as GMs. So you make your phone calls and you find out what the market is, and then you see how it looks against the Falcons in a huge, huge game. It's like David Poyle said, you got to show me something. If you guys want to be in this race and you want me to keep this team together, then you got to show me on the field. And it can't be excuses. I mean, this is where they are. It can't be, well, Tannehill's hurt, or they don't have this guy or that guy. They have to get it done against them. And if they don't, then you may have to go in a different direction.
My only thing with that, with a D-Hop or a Derek, is we can all agree it feels more likely than not that Will Levis is your starting quarterback next year. I would feel better about not necessarily a rookie quarterback, but a rather unexperienced quarterback coming in, having veterans like DeAndre Hopkins to throw to, having a safety net like Derrick Henry to drop the ball off to. And I get it that if you have an offer that you simply cannot refuse and you think that value is better for your team in the draft next year, then you make that move. But that's one thing that I'm keeping in mind is it's not just about this year, and it's not just about blow everything up and focus for next season. Well, maybe holding on to some of those veteran guys is keeping next season in mind and giving Will Levis tools to help him thrive in his first season as the starting quarterback come week 1.
But those, again, you can find a vet, because we all, listen, Derrick Henry is an exceptional runner, exceptional running back. But he's closer to retirement, and he probably has 3 or 4 more years left. I don't know. But he's closer to retirement than not, okay?
Yeah.
So my thing is, we all talk about how expendable running backs are. Oh, we can get this running back to do this. We can get this running back to do that. I'm at a point where Not necessarily, but I get it because that's the way the NFL is. So if that's the belief that you have, then you can have Tajay Spears. Hell, there's rumors that the Jets are shopping Cook, and they just got him. Exactly. So that tells you that tells you where their head is at.
Yeah.
So to me, I am not going to give Derrick Henry up for nothing. But this notion of, okay, if we're then going to insert our young quarterback, we need to have a Derrick Henry or we need to have a D-Hop. No, you don't need to
have them.
Because no matter what, that offensive line is not good.
No, it's
not. So no matter who you have, Derrick Henry had a big run. But how did that big run happen? Off a trick play. When they just handed the ball to Derrick Henry and said, hit that hole, he didn't have many runs. He didn't. Why? Because that offensive line is bad. They're bad. I hope they get better, but it doesn't seem like they are. So to me, you can then, hey, listen, if Ryan can't come back, I would try to make the move with D-Hop, possibly Derrick, Kevin. But really D-Hop, only if Traylon can come back after the bye. See how he is after the bye. If Traylon can play after the bye and he's healthy enough, then I am more than likely after that Atlanta game, if we don't win that game, I'm going to help D-Hop out. I'm going to try to send him somewhere where he can make a playoff run, where he could potentially get to where he want to go. Because right now with this team, they're not there.
But my point being, yes, you could help DeAndre Hopkins out, but how much is that helping your team?
It depends on what you're getting.
It depends on what you're getting back, yeah.
I need to get a good return from that. And I go back to the 49ers gave up a lot more than anybody thought they would give up to get Christian McCaffrey. So maybe the market's good. Other times you're very underwhelmed for what somebody gets in a trade, right? Like, that's all they got? And if that's all they got, then I can see what you're saying. The security blanket of having veterans around a young quarterback could have value. And you have to weigh what's the value of that versus what you're going to get in return.
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously you got to, Chris Moore, is he going to be? Because I don't think he came back in the game after that.
No,
hit.
he was out.
So
that was a nasty hit.
That was a nasty hit. I saw it, and people are screaming like, "Oh, they threw Hamilton." I'm like, didn't y'all see the hit?
Yeah.
I can't believe Harbaugh and the guy were protesting. Like,
dude, did y'all see that? Yeah. Whether he meant it or not, that was an illegal hit.
Kyle Hamilton was screaming expletives, basically in summary from reading his lips of, "What do you mean that's craziness. I didn't do anything." And I'm like, dude seriously?
Textbook.
In today's NFL,
spirit.
That's a 15-yard and ejection.
That's an ejection.
That's what it is.
That is an ejection. You can't do that. All right, let's get into your phones on this. Where the Titans go next, and the grand old Ryan Tannehill debate. We'll get into your phones on this coming up next. Stay tuned in to 93.3 Classic Hits tonight for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 6 p.m. on the road against Liberty. Pregame beginning at 5 p.m. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic app and at 93.3classichits.com.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rexroad for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the beginning or the end, however you want to call it, because they're playing so much football. I think it's like 40-some days of football just about every day. So if it's not the NFL, it's some other game out there that you can bet on football-wise. So if you're doing it this week, you need to be betting with Zen Sports. And if you're betting on the other site, you need to switch to Zen Sports, which is the fastest growing sport book in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you bet on sports with their cash reward program. When you sign up with Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Think about that for a second. 5% cash back on your total play with no limits to how much you can earn as cash rebate or on your bets. So what are you waiting for? Stop wasting your time and your money betting on other sports sites to earn credit or just points when you can be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or zensports.com. Your wallet and or purse will thank you later. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
Let's see. That one. Wait, I didn't see this one.
We apologize. When you have as many microbrews on tap as we do, we know it can be hard to make a decision. Don't worry, we're patient.
Wow, let me see here.
Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Incredible apps and salads, delectable burgers and wraps featuring local Tennessee whiskey and local brews on tap and live music 7 days a week. The decision is obvious. Bar lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
City Winery presents Patton Oswalt Effervescent Tour live Saturday, October 21st at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. The comedian, actor, and writer has found success in all areas of entertainment, from his award-winning comedy specials to his many memorable film and TV roles. Oswalt continues to choose work that inspires him and entertains audiences. You may know him as Principal Durbin on NBC's AP Bio. Patton Oswalt continues to make audiences laugh around the world. Don't miss Patton Oswalt this Saturday, 10/21 at City Winery. Get your tickets at citywinery.com.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one.
It's absurd. Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Is he automatically the guy, or is there any?
Yeah, I mean Ryan. No, I mean Ryan will be. If he can go, Ryan will be a quarterback.
If Ryan Tannehill can go, he will be at quarterback. And I know that's not what a lot of Titan fans want to hear. So we are right to your thoughts. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll kick it off with Tyreek, who is on the line with a thought on the Titans. What's up, Tyreek?
Hey, how y'all doing, man? Shout out to, first off, I want to give a shout out to Rated R Titans fans. That's my fan page on Facebook. But this is my question. We already know if Ryan Tannehill come back, the window is still closed. He's not the guy. So my thing is, I really think we need to start Malik. I really think we need to start Will Levis, bro, because you got to face the fact. We need to just end the season with Will Levis, because if he shows he's not the guy and you get a top pick, you go get another quarterback. If you got a Drake Myers or you got a Caleb Williams, you take it. But right now, you don't know if he's the guy or not. Next year, you draft another quarterback for what?
And thank you for your call, Tyreek.
I mean, he that makes sense.
But are you going to find out if Will Levis is the guy or not in a few games?
No, it has to be more. Say again, because I think that cutoff could potentially be the Atlanta game, because right after that you're talking about the trade deadline. So say if you go out, Tannehill's still not 100%, you don't win an Atlanta game, how does then Tannehill, how does he feel moving forward? And how do you feel about your team? Okay, well, if Tannehill's not going to be 100% like ready to roll within 2 weeks or a week after that Atlanta game, then you have to start thinking as an organization, okay, we need to see where we are with this young guy. If we put him in there, we don't need to see, he doesn't need to win every game. We need to see promise and progress in him. Because if not, then there's nothing that's telling me Tannehill is going to be the quarterback for next year. All right? So we get to next year. Now, next year, we're trying to find out whether Will Levis is the guy or not. When you had an opportunity possibly to draft, maybe a quarterback. I don't know. You had an opportunity to draft a truly impact guy. Say if it is a quarterback, one of these quarterbacks that's coming out. Well, we had a chance to draft him, but we didn't because we didn't know, what Levis looked like or whether he was going to show some promise or something. To me, if you got an opportunity to play him, and no slight to Malik, but in their mind, I think this is their guy for the future. Well, if that is indeed the case, I need to see if this kid can play. Not just play, can he process what's going on? Is he getting better every week? It doesn't have to be a jump from 1 to 10. It could be a jump from 1 to 2, maybe from 1 to 1.5. But is he getting better every week? Is he learning what we want him to learn? I think that's how you got to look at it. It's not about necessarily winning or losing games when you put him in. Is he getting better? And then in the offseason, we know what we have ultimately in our quarterback.
And another one of Tyreek's points was, with Tannehill, the window is closed. What window? Super Bowl window?
I think
That's
making the
been
playoffs
closed.
window. Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought that this team was a Super Bowl contender this year. But what window of, being, the top seed in the AFC? I would agree. That's closed. I don't think anyone expected that.
No, the window I think that they were shooting for was to scratch their way back into the playoffs one more time and see what happens. I think that's really the only realistic thing that they could have hoped for, and that was a tough ask with this roster. You needed a great year from Tannehill. He's not having a great year. The offense isn't having a great year. A lot of the things that they thought or hoped would be better or not. Like, of course, Jared went completely off the cliff with the disaster stuff. To me, he's exaggerating. But the things that he pointed out go down the checklist. You can use whatever harsh level that you want to, and he got really harsh. But the things he's pointing out are fair things. The Dillard signing has not worked out.
No.
Right? The other Arden Key has flashed a little bit. Has not really worked out. Harold Landry has not bounced back. Chigakonkwo and Traylon Burks have not taken another step forward. You put all these things together, it's a mediocre team, and I don't think you can get to the ceiling that we laid out to start with. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be realistic about this. It's hard. Like, if they win against Atlanta, it staves off reality.
But it doesn't
me.
change anything.
It doesn't really change the outlook to me. Now, it keeps hope alive, and crazy things happen in this league. I grant you that. Maybe the light goes on for Chig. Maybe Burks comes back and he's different. That could all happen. But what's realistic? You do have to try to weigh that, and that's hard.
And what's best for the team? Because that's what Mike Vrabel said. We're going to try and make the team better. And I hope that feels obvious, because I think that is obvious that they do want to make this team better. But what is the path to that? Jeff from Tennessee texts in about my point about Will Levis, because I said, look, if you think this offensive line is crap with Ryan Tannehill, which it is, then think about putting a rookie quarterback in there that didn't get a lot of work in the preseason due to injury. But Jeff Texan says Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times the year that Tannehill blew the game for the Titans, and it didn't ruin him. It made him stronger. So put Levis in and move on for the future. If he gets sacked 20 times, he will get strong or get gone. Tannehill won't get us anywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
Burrow the year before, he took his lumps the entire rookie year.
And Joe Burrow tore his ACL in that first year. The time that Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times and went to the Super Bowl, that was in his second year. And I feel you would know, D-Mase. Year 2 versus year 1, that's drastically different.
But how much did he gain from the first year, even though he took his lumps?
He took his lumps. And,
he took his lumps. He tore his ACL.
Beat the Titans.
Yeah, but he's a different breed of quarterback now. You talk about Joe
Burrow
and somebody else. They're different breeds of quarterback. You know, a lot of, to me, in the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I think a lot of these questions will be answered. Whether to move on from Ryan Tannehill, you know, throw Will Levis or Malik Willis in, make trades, all this stuff will be decided, I think, you know, within this next 2 weeks to 2.5, more like 2 weeks. But, you know, it's because everybody keeps going to Ryan Tannehill, and I understand why. And it's, you know, he's been here 5-6 years. You know, what is it? You know, what is, because I heard the question yesterday, you know, again, listening to our, you know, Chase and Big Joe and Hut. How would you sum up Ryan Tannehill's stay here in Nashville? Or what would his legacy be, in quotations? And my thing is, his legacy is a what if. That's his legacy here. What if? What if
you didn't throw 3 interceptions into the Bengals?
Exactly. When you had the number 1 seed.
Right.
What if they allowed him to throw the ball a little bit more in the AFC Championship, like that whole run? What if they
got him in offensive line?
Exactly. So his whole tenure here is a what if.
And some is due to him, and some is due to the organization.
But I think the fans are now like, we don't care what it is now. We want to move on. Because again, they look at what the division is doing. Whether it works out for them or not, I don't know. It seems like Stroud is going to work out. It seems like, you know, they're taking it slow with Richardson and what they want to do. It seems like it's working out with Trevor Lawrence. So everybody in Nashville is looking at those other 3 teams, and they got their quarterback. We are the only people that are stuck with our old quarterback and don't know what we have in our new waiting quarterback. And the fans are like, listen, we just want to see what he has. Is he, you know, close to what those other teams have? They want to feel optimistic about what's behind Ryan Tannehill. And right now, they don't know.
It sounds a lot like the Predators fans at the end of the season last year. After the trades, I think there was a lot of, hey, these young guys look like they may have something. I don't know how good, and this is what we're finding out this year, and probably maybe even into next year. But there's some optimism, there's some hope, there's some excitement of this was the move that they had to make, and it's fresh, it's new, and let's see. And so far, they're supporting the team as they go through this. I wonder what it would be like for the Titans fans, right? Amy Adams has got to be thinking about that if they make these decisions too. Are they going to have a bunch of no-shows or a bunch of the other team's fans in there, which is already tough enough
an issue
to keep the other team's fans out really anywhere you go in most markets.
Right.
But do people stop going? I think for a while there'd be a lot of curiosity, especially if it's Levis, of, okay, even if he crashes and burns the first couple games, does he get better? As Derek was saying, does he give you at the end of the year hope that he could blossom into a starter?
I just go back to the conversations that we were having about Malik Willis when he went in last season. And what did we talk about all offseason? He didn't have any business seeing the field.
Right.
Doing that in year 1 could have ruined him. You could make the argument that this offensive line is worse than last year.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. The offensive line is probably even a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Here's what's different in my mind. Now, this is the problem, is because he missed so much time in training camp, and the time he was playing, he was sharing reps with Malik Willis and not getting starters reps. He really didn't get a lot of reps in training camp, period. So it's been all up to him behind the scenes. But he did at least play in a pro-style system in college.
Yeah. That's
Malik
what
Willis
I was
did
thinking.
not.
Yeah.
Malik Willis was really thrown into a system that he had never played before in his life. He was trying to take the crash course in the summer to try to get up to speed on just how it works. But he was still way behind. I would hope that Levis's training in college sets him a little bit ahead of where Willis was last year. I would hope.
You would hope.
I don't think Levis, and it has nothing to do with, because listen, whether you think Malik Willis can play or not, that's your, that's what you want to do. I've seen enough quarterbacks in this league to know he's a backup somewhere. He's a backup somewhere. I haven't seen enough bad quarterbacks, starting and not starting. So not to say he can't play, I'm not going to say that. But I think Will Levis, he would not look like Malik Willis, basically because of what Willie said. He understands sort of the system. He came from a pro-type system. Malik Willis didn't come from that system, so everything to him was sort of foreign. You know, he had to relearn. And I'm not faulting him. It was just, I've always said, college coaches are not there to
not developing
get you,
NFL quarterbacks.
They are there to win football games.
Right.
And if you develop into an NFL quarterback, then great. But I think Will Levis would be a little bit further ahead in that regard. So I don't think it would look exactly like Malik, but it may not look great either.
Right. And you would hope, at least, that if you traded up in the second round, that he would look a little bit better than the third-round quarterback.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. We'll get back into your thoughts, but let's take a quick breather coming up next. Mitch Light, who covers college football for The Athletic, will join us. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered with their Italian classics and sensational cocktails. Your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for two. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
Hi, this is Rudy Gatlin of the Gatlin Brothers. Larry, Steve, and I would like to invite you to join us for the second annual Blood Assurance Celebrity Golf Tournament, Monday, October 23rd at the beautiful Hermitage Golf Course. All proceeds benefit local high schools through the Blood Assurance Heroes Grant Fund. There are going to be a lot of great prizes, but one lucky player will win a trip for two to play golf in Ireland. To sign up and for more information, go to bloodassurance.org/celebrity-golf. Come on and join us.
The holidays are a time of celebration and Thanksgiving. It's a time to host friends and family in your home to enjoy good food and good times. The last thing you need is an unexpected issue. If you're planning a gathering this season, take a few minutes to bring out the home experts from Lee Company. For heating, plumbing, electrical, and all your home improvement needs, Lee Company has you covered. Visit LeeCompany.com and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at many fine retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters. Available at Walgreens and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier. News out of the AFC South. According to Adam Schefter, Indianapolis Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson could miss the rest of the regular season. Richardson could also have shoulder surgery in the coming weeks or so, from Colts owner Jim Irsay. As for another AFC South injury, according to Adam Schefter, QB for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, is listed with a knee sprain, but is in question to start Thursday at New Orleans. According to ESPN's Jeff Darlington, Ryan Tannehill's high ankle sprain will not require surgery. With Tannehill's availability in question, could these other quarterback injuries benefit the Titans' chances in the AFC South? Listen for more on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 106.3.
And a score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willie Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. Predators in action tonight, hosting the Edmonton Oilers. Puck drop at 7 o'clock and pregame coverage starting right here on 102.5 The Game at 6 p.m. Well, it was a wild weekend of college football. Friday night, Colorado up 29-0. They lose in double overtime to Stanford. Crazy.
That was crazy.
Crazy. Arkansas scoring 15 unanswered against Alabama in the second half, and then it was ultimately decided by a field goal. Crazy. And also crazy, the first win under Josh Heupel scoring less than 30 points in Josh Heupel's 5.5-year career as a head coach in college football. And joining us now to break it all down is Mitch Light of The Athletic. Mitch, Tennessee was able to find a win a game by playing really good defense and running the football, which, as we all know, is Josh Heupel's specialty. Is that how Tennessee is going to have to win games this season?
Yeah, I didn't know Les Miles had taken over in charge of the Tennessee program. And just,
give me some flashbacks.
Yeah.
Not good ones, I might add. Not good ones.
Okay, national championship, I guess, but that's another topic for another day.
More like 2015, Les Miles.
It was a weird game, and as I've explained to you guys, I think on many occasions, my Saturdays, I'm working, I'm watching games, but I might get pulled away for a minute to do some work, edit a story, and it was in the middle of the Tennessee game, and I had it on my laptop, and I was working, and every time I'd look up, Texas A&M seemingly was making a big play, or good things seemed to keep happening for Texas A&M, and then I'd look at the score, and it wouldn't change. So it seemed like a weird game. But yes, it's very. I mean, I'm sure it's not the way Tennessee fans want to win the game. It's not the way Josh Heupel wants to win the game. But it's kind of a good thing. You're not a one-trick pony. You're not one-dimensional. It shows you can do things. If the game gets ugly, you can win that way. Of course, they would like to be more explosive on offense. They would like to be better. I think we talked last week. They're down a yard per play on average from last year, which is a lot. So, sure, that's their biggest worry right now. But you can also glass half full. Look, hey, that's a very good defense. They did just enough to win, and they made the plays to win the game. It was just a weird, crazy, whatever word. It was a weird Tennessee game.
I'll take a page out of Mike Vrabel's playbook and say that it wasn't pretty, but it was beautiful. And it made me feel more confident about this Tennessee team because I'm thinking, okay, you found a different way to win a football game against a good Texas A&M team. But, Mitch, I'm out on Joe Milton. I thought that Tennessee won in spite of Joe Milton on Saturday night. Can they beat Alabama this weekend if Joe Milton plays how he did against A&M?
No, I don't think so. They will need him at his best, and that's part of the problem. He's inconsistent. Coaches say you expect him to say all the right things over the summer. This was clearly this was Joe Milton's team, and he was ready, and they were ready to turn the keys off over to him. And you don't never know if that's just coach speak or if they really felt that. But that was the message from the program. And I don't think they're going to deviate from that. I would be surprised if, they made a move at any point. I think at this point in his career, he is what he is. At his best, he's good enough for them to beat a lot of teams, maybe any team on their schedule, but we just have not seen his best on a consistent basis, and that's going to be troublesome because they've got a lot of teams they're playing that they might be favored over against, but that can easily beat them if Joe Milton does not play well.
Now, Mitch, USC. Coming into the season, this team was one of the top-ranked teams, and they had what many thought was going to be the back-to-back winner in the Heisman Trophy. Well, this weekend against Notre Dame, he looked far from a Heisman Trophy winner, throwing 3 interceptions all in the first half, and that team basically got manhandled by Notre Dame. Have we seen the last of SC? Because they do have to get into their conference as far as, I don't think they haven't played Washington yet or Washington State. They haven't played Oregon yet. So these teams that they still have to play with your quarterback not playing as well, what do you see this SC team?
Yeah, that's the troubling part, Derek, is this up to Notre Dame, that was the soft part of the schedule, and their defense had been so bad. And then they played well enough to win that game probably defensively. They just did not play well offensively, and it was the first time since he's been at USC that sometimes I think a quarterback, not that I've ever played the position, but if you have so much success and you improvise so well, things kind of come easy for you, and maybe you think you can get away with certain things, and they played a very good defense, and they couldn't get away with it. I mean, their upcoming schedule is Utah, and they have matched up very poorly against Utah. That is like the antidote for that program, like physical at the line of scrimmage, don't beat themselves. They beat them twice. Utah beat them twice last year. Then they get Cal, who's not very good, but then Washington, Oregon, UCLA. Like right now, I would say this is a 9-3 team at best, unless they show vast improvement on defense, and then obviously Caleb Williams can return to form. So, yeah, I think it was one of those teams, Derek, we all thought that they weren't the best team in the Pac-12, but you kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt because they kept winning, but they were kind of exposed on Saturday night.
Now, looking at the beginning of the season, Shedeur Sanders started off on a hot streak. Caleb Williams started off on a hot streak. And the guy that was sort of forgotten is Washington's quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. Do you think he's the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy this year?
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you think his team's the best team in the Pac-12?
I don't know. I'll go to the second part first. You could watch that game and think, Oregon was better or just as good. I mean, evenly matched, but statistically it was evenly matched. The game is at Washington. I'd love for those two teams to play again in Las Vegas there. So, right now they're in the driver's seat to win the regular season title. I mean, even if that's a thing, it's because we only care about who wins the championship game there. But the fact that they already beat Oregon gives them a leg up, obviously. But yeah, I think he is. It's hard to say overwhelming now because there's still a lot of the season. But the fact that that not only did USC lose, but the Caleb Williams didn't play. Penix got every vote in the athletic straw poll we do every week. I think we have 34 voters. He got every vote in there. So I think he's in command. I mean, everyone watched that game. We saw the viewership numbers. He is such the left-handed, whatever it is, the ball just comes out of his hand perfectly, and he has an elite group of wide receivers. So I do not see them slowing down on offense. They might lose a game, but they're going to keep putting up big numbers on offense.
Mitch Light is with us from The Athletic, talking college football as we do every week at this time. Mitch, Georgia came through here, and obviously they paid a price winning the game. A tough loss with Brock Bowers, who is really the guy that makes their offense more special than maybe it would be. I've never been blown away by their scheme or anything. They just seem to have very talented players. What do they look like going forward the next several weeks without him?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. You're right. Like, he gave them a different element. And he was like kind of their safety blanket. We saw that in the Auburn game. When they needed, he's always open. He's difficult to tackle. Now, they've got other tight ends that they like. Oscar Delp, Lawson Luck, he was a freshman who actually had the same surgery that he's having over the summer. But the reason he's unique, he's the best. So I expect we'll see them be a little bit more conventional. I think Carson Beck is playing well. If this were earlier in the year and Carson Beck had kind of like before the Kentucky game and had yet to kind of show that he could consistently run this offense and produce at a high level, there'd be a higher level of concern. So I would say it's not ideal for Georgia, but they among teams in the country, they're one of the teams that's built to absorb a loss like this. I just from a fan of the sport, I love watching him play because they do so many fun things with him. And I saw some criticism like, why are you running him on a reverse, against Vanderbilt in that game that you were in the lead? But you can't coach football like that, in my opinion. You got to run your offense. You got to do the things you're going to do. And if you run your team not to have injuries, that's kind of not the way I would run my team.
What is your thought on Beck? One of the things with Stetson Bennett that we admired at the end of the year, when he had to play well against the great teams, he played well.
It's Derek's quarterback.
I do wonder what Beck looks like in those situations. If Georgia is going to three-peat, he's got to rise to the occasion. I'll be honest, I have not been blown away with what I've seen with him.
Yeah, the thing about he has faced adversity maybe once this year, the South Carolina game at home. And he played great. Played a great second half. Now Auburn game was tight, but I think Auburn's offense is so bad that they never you got the feeling you were going to lose that game. But there was some adversity in that South Carolina game. So he's a first-year starter. I get it. The thing that Bennett did. He could beat you with his legs. And how many times you see him pick up a 3rd and 12? You're just scrambling around. Beck's not that type of guy. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair assessment. Willie. He is a very good quarterback. He's yet to prove he's a great quarterback. He'll have an opportunity to prove he's a great quarterback, and he's got a great supporting cast. They do have a new system this year with Mike Bobo as the offensive coordinator. So that's something to watch. He has never been the most popular offensive coordinator, no matter where he's been there. But that's the one reason why 2-3 weeks ago, when some people were kind of maybe putting Michigan atop their poll or looking for reasons not to put Georgia, is because they got a quarterback that we haven't seen done it yet, and that's what makes this fun. He's going to have plenty of time to prove himself down the stretch.
Let's give you the same kind of outlook for Alabama. We've covered the Tennessee part of this. Alabama has looked way more human than they have in a long, long time, and they've got a new quarterback, and here's a huge test for him in a game that they've got to win. So where do you think they are? They look kind of shaky last week.
Yeah, well, they were so dominant for 2 quarters. I don't think Arkansas got a first down over a 2-quarter stretch. They could not do anything right. It looked like Alabama was going to just win one of those 24-6, 30-6 games, and there was a face mask penalty. Then, KJ Jefferson's kind of a veteran quarterback, and we've seen him get hot before. I think he did it 2 years ago against Alabama, brought them back there. So they made the plays when they needed to make, and I think kind of you said it there. They've been a little shaky. It's not an elite team. They don't. You look at their position group by position group and compare it to recent years, and I don't know where you would say on offense that they're better than they've been at any spot over the last 3 years. I do think Milroe's getting better, getting a little bit more confident, staying in the pocket a little bit more. They got some good production from the running game there, so it's a good Alabama team, but it's far from elite, and that kind of what makes. I think any team, if Alabama wins the West this year, I think all those other teams, especially at Texas A&M, they're going to be kicking. They might look in 2 or 3 years like that was the year we needed to get Alabama, and none of those teams are good enough this year to do it, because I think, I'm not subscribing to the theory that they're on their way down or anything. I think they're going to be better next year, but they are vulnerable this year, and Tennessee has an opportunity, A&M had an opportunity, but they couldn't get it done.
Okay, so all that being said, how do you like Tennessee's chances down there?
I like Alabama. I think that the offensive inconsistencies, and I don't trust Joe Milton not to make the big mistake or the bad throw. I think turnovers will be the difference in this game. I think Alabama can get a lead and be a little more conservative, and I think the Alabama defense will be able to turn over Joe Milton a little bit. They're pretty good at the cornerback position in Alabama, so I think that will be the difference.
I do worry about Jalen Milroe. I mean, that Tennessee defensive front, I don't think I truly realized just how good and stout it was until I saw them get all over Max Johnson all night long in Neyland Stadium. Now, with that being said, it's in Neyland, and I think Tennessee over 2.5 years has shown that they are a better team at home than they are on the road. But this Alabama offensive line stinks. I think this Tennessee defensive line is at least going to eat, but I'm with you. I think that Alabama takes it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. It's always a fun game, and, the revenge, whatever you want to say, the rematch. But it's a big spot for 2 quarterbacks who are at very different stages of their career. One 5th year, I would get, is Milton 5th or 6th year, whatever. He's been around.
6th year.
6th year, young quarterback who will, and hey, we don't even know if Milroe's going to be the quarterback next year, 2 years. Like, is he a stopgap? Is Julian Sain, the number 1 quarterback in the country, going to start as a true freshman? Who knows? So we haven't really seen too many Alabama quarterbacks get beat out. I mean, Jalen Hurts, I guess, got beat out, but sort of like once you win that job at Alabama, you're the guy there. So that'll be something to watch, too, for the rest of the year.
Mitch Light of The Athletic is with us. Mitch, I was having this conversation this morning with some fellow college football nerds, and we came to the realization that there is really only one Heisman caliber player in the SEC this season, and that's Jaden Daniels. And if LSU loses another game, I mean, it's a long shot now with 2 losses, and if LSU loses another game, that very well could disqualify him from being in New York City. Now, that I don't agree with that necessarily, but it is what it is. It just feels very strange to be in an SEC this season, that I think we know that it's kind of an off year, a weird year for the SEC, but to not have a true emergent Heisman Trophy caliber player, whether that's at Alabama or anywhere else, it feels very, very strange that it's like the Pac-12 party this season.
Yeah, definitely. And, Brock Bowers was a guy, we have our poll every week, like I mentioned, Athletic. I had voted for Bowers second last week, but obviously dropped him out of my poll this week. I put in Jaden Daniels was number two for me this week. I will, continue to monitor. I didn't realize until I really dove in how good he was statistically. I mean, watching him play, I know he's very good, but he's been great. So that is something to watch. The Daniels thing, just continue to monitor, obviously. If something happens with Penix, if they lose a game or whatever, he is, like you said, he's pretty much the SEC's only hope right now. Would another loss kill his chances? Probably. I don't necessarily think that's fair, like you mentioned, but that's just kind of the way the poll always goes. That's the way the voters go.
Colorado drops a game Friday night, and that was one of the craziest games that I've watched this season. With the losses, is the Deion phenomenon over?
I don't think so. Where was I? Was this on Talk Radio? I forgot where I was on a podcast. I thought this was an apt comparison, and I don't know, Caroline. I don't know if I should say this. You might be too young to remember this, but compared Deion this to Linsanity when Jeremy Lin.
Oh my gosh, Jeremy Lin, the shooting star, the comet through the sky.
Yeah, that stretch with the Knicks where he was like the talk of. And because he was an international player, like almost the talk of the sporting world. So I think Deion has more staying power than Jeremy Lin. He will always be a fascinating subject just because he's Deion, and we've watched him play and watched him coach. Now, I think none of this was a big surprise, the fact that they were going to hit some speed bumps. But the fact that they lose a 29-0 lead to a bad Stanford team. And now, we can start looking at Deion as the coach. We don't just have to praise him and say he's overachieved. If he made coaching mistakes, if he's taking the ball at the start of the overtime when that's a questionable strategy, like we can question him as a coach now, which is kind of fun. Like it's not just the blanket statements, oh, what a great recruiter, or what this and this. Like he's coaching.
You don't believe.
That's fighting. Yeah, that's fighting for a ball, and if he makes a mistake, we can call him out on that. Not that he cares what we think, but we can sort of like treat them like a real team now. But look at their schedule. It is going to be a struggle to get to a bowl game even after that start.
Now, what do you think of Norvell's Florida State Seminoles? I mean, they're, 5-0, 6-0 right now. They had two tough games, Boston College and Clemson, and those were both back-to-back, and many say Clemson should have won that game, but they pulled it out. But what do you think of this Florida State team?
Yeah, slightly overrated, just very slightly. I think because they looked so good in that second half against LSU, and they can look, with Jordan Travis, who keeps getting banged up. I know he got banged up again there, and, Kieran Coleman's made some highlight reel catches there. So I think we kind of all fell in love with him a little bit. But, it's survive in advance. The Boston College game was a little too close. But, hey, when you've beaten LSU and you've won at Clemson, when you get to this stage, you're just kind of poking holes in teams. So, you're looking for a weakness. So, I'm looking at their schedule. They get Duke at home this week, and I don't think Riley Leonard's going to play. But their schedule is not that intimidating. They go to Wake Forest, who's struggling. They go to Pitt, who's struggling. They get Miami at home, and they at Florida. So right now, and I know the odds makers probably have this, they are in very good position to, make the college football playoffs. They don't play North Carolina in the regular season, and North Carolina has been playing very well, and that will be the best, quarterback. They also face Jaden Daniels there. So I would love to see an undefeated North Carolina and an undefeated Florida State play for the ACC championship, and obviously the winner of that game would be headed to the playoff.
Last one from me, Mitch. If Tennessee can beat Alabama this weekend, how will that make you feel about Tennessee's ability to potentially run the table and win the SEC East?
Well, I think any team that can win at Alabama can win anywhere. That's what we were saying about Texas to start the season. For their college football playoff resume, very few teams are going to have a win better than at Alabama. And then if Tennessee does that, they will too have a win at Alabama. If you can win at Alabama, looking at their schedule, Kentucky struggling the last few weeks. Georgia obviously coming to Neyland. If Tennessee has one loss and Georgia's undefeated, that would be, the game of the century. It would pass, last year's game at Georgia and the Alabama game. So it's just, talking about how we had such a favorable impression of Florida State because they looked so good against LSU. We had such a negative impression of Tennessee because how bad they looked against Florida. We got to figure out if it's time to reassess and be like, hey, you know what? They looked bad that one game. They played really poorly, but look who they've beaten. Look what they have. You cannot eliminate them from the college football playoff discussion if they win this week, and I don't think any of us thought we'd be saying that when they came back from Gainesville.
So true. I thought once they lost to Florida, I was like, all right, Tennessee's done. Let's move on to the next. But Mitch Light of The Athletic, appreciate you for stopping by. We'll chat next week.
All right, take care, guys. See ya.
Awesome. Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. All right, I have a thought on Tennessee that I want to get into coming up next. Some good news and some not so great news as far as Vols fans are concerned, and we'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Whether you drink it neat, in a cocktail, or like our boys at Bridgestone, on ice, Blue Note Bourbon hits all the right notes. From the ever-popular Blue Note Juke Joint to our fabled Blue Note Crossroads. It doesn't matter if you're watching the Preds at a bar or just hanging at home. Our double gold medal winning, hand-bottled, straight bourbon whiskey always sounds like a good time is about to be had. Blue Note Bourbon. Take note. Sip responsibly.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
Thinning hair is normal, but it doesn't have to be your fate.
Once I started taking Nutrafol, I could visibly see my hair get thicker. It made my hair stronger.
Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand.
Nutrafol has taken me back to the hair I was meant to have.
You've got nothing to lose and everything to grow. Join the 1 million people growing at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com.
In any work environment, culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. Hey, this is General Manager Sean Ford with Cromwell Media. And this month, we have several celebrating their anniversary working with us. From our corporate office, Janice Russell is celebrating 33 years and Dorothy Black, 29. Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode, the duo that make up our morning show on 102.5 The Game, are celebrating 3 years. And Connor Newt, who works for 102.5 behind the scenes, is celebrating 1 year with us as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Hey Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Hey, Chase and Big Joe have your chance to win tickets to see Kiss on Monday, October 23rd at Bridgestone Arena. This contest is brought to you by Green Trees Company, a family-owned cannabis company and dispensary providing high-quality legal THC products for anyone seeking medicine, relief, or wellness. It's located in Hendersonville in a new location in West Nashville and available online at greentrees, Treez, company.com. Tune in tomorrow between 9 and 11 a.m. for your chance to win. Again, that is a pair of tickets to see Kiss on Monday, October 23rd at Bridgestone Arena. Well, Tennessee gets a win against Texas A&M this weekend, and I did not expect that. I was picking Texas A&M all week long. I thought Texas A&M's defensive front is just too good. I don't believe in Joe Milton, but Tennessee pulls out a win in a way we've never seen Josh Heupel win, and it's by low scoring, running the football, and playing really good defense. And credit to Tennessee fans, because Neyland Stadium was absolutely popping on Saturday. It was loud. You could tell that the crowd and the environment was affecting the game. And I think that's something that Tennessee fans like to hang their hat on, is the Neyland experience is always difficult for a visiting team, especially a Texas A&M team that's been struggling on the road. They've lost 8 of their last 15 road games. But I have some good news and some bad news for Tennessee fans. And I'll start with the good. And that's that I think Tennessee might have the best defense in the SEC. You know, you could make an argument for Alabama, absolutely. But Tennessee's defense, which was more of a liability than it was an asset for their team last season, now is one of the biggest reasons why they're winning games. They were all over Max Johnson all day long. Max Johnson, Texas A&M's quarterback, never got comfortable throwing the football. So credit to Tennessee's defense. Credit to the job that their defensive coordinator has done year over year. I'm very impressed with what Tennessee's defense was able to do, limiting Texas A&M to just 13 points. So that's the good. You got a really great to elite defense that's going to help you win a lot of games. The bad. Joe Milton is terrible. I'm out on Joe Milton. He had a great run to pick up a first down, and then the next play he threw an interception. He got too excited. He was feeling himself too much that he made a mistake. He was missing receivers, and to credit to Joe Milton, some of the receivers were dropping balls that they should have caught. But overall, I mean, every game on Tennessee's schedule, I think they will win in spite of Joe Milton. He's just hasn't done enough good. He can't take care of the football. It feels like the game's just a little bit too fast for him. Can't quite read a defense. I'm out on Joe Milton. I'm out.
Well, there's a reason why, Hendon Hooker won that job over Joe Milton, because I think they finally realized that, okay, this is the guy, Hooker, that is going to allow our offense to sort of materialize into what it's supposed to be. We will truly, with him at quarterback, we will maximize, our potential on offense.
Mm-hmm.
What you're seeing now is a offense that, maybe they don't have some of the skilled guys like they did last year, but in today's offense, in today's college football, you should be able to score points up and down. This team is averaging 13 less points this year than they were last year.
13.
They were averaging 46 points a game. They're averaging 33 points a game right now.
And even
if I do the math, that's around 13 points, I believe, somewhere around there.
And if you look at just SEC games, because that average is probably inflated by the 49 against Virginia and even the 30 being a low total against Austin Peay. But against Texas A&M, 20 points, 16 against Florida. They had a great game against South Carolina, but really for the most part in SEC play, they haven't been putting up a whole lot of points.
No, this team hasn't been consistent from an offensive standpoint as they were last year. They were a consistent offense. They scored a bunch of points. They scored very fast. You never worried about the quarterback not having a grasp of what was going on. This year, it just doesn't seem like Joe Milton has a grasp truly of what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
At least not the big picture. He may have a quarter of the picture, but he doesn't have the whole picture. And I think that's truly what's stopping UT from truly being, one of the top teams, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country, because they don't have it. Now, again, their defense is one of the best, not just in the SEC, one of the best in the country. They're top 5 defense in the SEC total defense, whether he pass, run, points. They're top 5 defense. Their defense can only do so much if their offense, if their offense was averaging in the 40s like they were last year with this defense that's only giving up, I think, 17 points a game, this team doesn't lose a game. They don't. They may be the highest, they may be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, they win the national championship.
Georgia has played.
Yeah.
And, Michigan has looked good. Old State has looked good. But still, there's no true clear-cut number 1 where we can say, this is the team that I'm going to hang my hat on throughout the course of the year. If they had a grasp on that quarterback position, I believe, because their defense is so much better, then this would be the number 1 ranked team in the country.
I think about it, too, in terms of the questions I was asking Mitch about Carson Beck for Georgia. And I asked myself, to win a national championship, you have to be able to beat a really good team on the road. I think Joe Milton, this is the question going into the Alabama game. Can they beat a good team? And this is a good Alabama team. This is not a great Alabama team, especially relative to what we're used to there. But you still got to, when you're going to win at Alabama, you better go in there and you got to play really well as a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder about Carson Beck when he's got to beat a really good team on the road or in the SEC championship game, something like that. I mean, Georgia probably avoids putting him in that scenario, right, until later.
That Tennessee game now seems much more interesting in Neyland Stadium.
Look, if I'm Tennessee and they're coming into my den, and without Bowers,
I
feel like I got a shot. I feel like I got a shot because I don't know what Beck's going to look like if you put him in adversity. You get that crowd going on 3rd and 8.
He doesn't have his go-to guy.
He doesn't have his go-to guy. Can he overcome that? I don't know. But Tennessee seems to be – this is the wrap on them. This is nothing new, I'm saying. But can they beat a good team on the road? It's not as easy.
No.
It's a tough test.
And even when we talk about that Georgia game, and of course, whatever happens this weekend, Tennessee, Alabama, that makes that game much more interesting. Tennessee, Missouri feels a lot more interesting because as good as Tennessee's defense is, I don't know if Tennessee's offense has the horses to keep up with Missouri and Brady Cook and Luther Burden, a team that can put up 40, 45 points a game.
That was impressive. They bounced back from a game against LSU where they were right there. I mean, that's close. And then they go on the road to Kentucky and play a great game.
Have a great game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Tennessee's, the rest of the schedule is tough. You go on the road at Bryant-Denny. You play at Kroger Field. You play at Missouri, which is an underratedly difficult place to play, especially late in the season. And then
Weather
you host
could be
Georgia.
Kind of funky.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games that could sneak up on you because a lot of people traditionally may not give Missouri as much respect. I think that's different this season. Now that Missouri is a ranked team, they only have 1 loss on the schedule. They've looked really good. But as far as that Georgia game is concerned, I trust Carson Beck more than I trust Joe Milton. Like any semblance of hope that I had for Joe Milton redeeming himself, I completely lost. Like the interception that he threw in that game against Texas A&M, he is staring down a receiver. Staring him down. And I'm thinking to myself, Joe, don't you throw that football. Don't you throw that football, Joe, because I know that safety sees the exact same thing that all of us see. He's staring him down, hits the receiver, or tries to hit the receiver, and it gets intercepted. Like we talked about with Mitch Light, he is what he is. This is his 6th year in college football. He's not going to get any better.
Yeah, he's not. And, Tennessee they're going to have to win in spite of his limitations. Is he a horrible quarterback? No, but you can only do so much with him. It's like, again, you can only take a quarter of your offense and play with it because he doesn't give you the ability to go out there and truly maximize the playbook. Because, I mean, this team, if they had that quarterback with the offense they run, I mean, goodness gracious, it's a track meet. But because the quarterback can't operate the offense the way you want it to be operate, you got to scale a lot of stuff down. And it leaves you with basically a quarter of what you can do or half of what you can do.
Yeah. It begs the question, how many games can Tennessee win with that defense? But let's get into some of your thoughts on this. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Matthew in Nashville texts in, says, can Can you try and tell my fellow UT friends that we have won? We beat A&M in spite of Milton, because they don't think that Joe is the problem right now. They think that the problem is exclusively wide receivers dropping passes. It's a big problem, I grant you, but it's not the biggest slice of the blame pie. No, I mean, like, wide receivers dropping passes is an issue. I think it was either 2 or 3 massive plays where Ramel Keaton let the ball just go right through his hands. You know, maybe it's a different conversation about Joe Milton if he just catches those balls, if he just catches one of those balls. But overall, you know, you turn the football over with Joe Milton. Like you said, D-Mase, it's just clear and obvious limitations.
Yeah, because when your quarterback, if you can't do the things you want to do because of the limitations that you have with your quarterback, anything the other players do that isn't right, it adds on to it. And then all of a sudden, it looks as if it's their fault rather than the quarterback's fault.
Yeah.
Well, it starts with the quarterback. And, you know, he needs those guys to lift him up, because if he doesn't, then you're not going to be able to do the things that you need to do as an offense because of the limitations you have with the quarterback.
There were more overthrown, underthrown, inaccurate footballs thrown on Saturday night than there were drops.
Yeah.
And I think that's always going to be the issue with him. Like you said, he is more of a finished product. I wouldn't expect that to really suddenly get better. Now, could he have one big game? I think he's got to be on his best. He's got to be on his A game if you're going to win. But if you're Alabama, you're sitting there going, okay, on the road, can we get them to have to slow down? Remember in Florida how many pre-snap penalties that Florida was able to create, where they could create a little commotion, take the tempo away, some of the things. And then on top of that, he misses a throw or two. You can get a turnover. That's, to me, what Alabama is going to center their game plan on.
Well, for Tennessee, it's key that they run the football. If they don't run the football, they
have no offense.
Yeah, they have no offense. If they can't run the football, which Alabama is going to try to make them more than any team one-dimensional, because they know the quarterback is sort of the Achilles heel of what's going on. If they make them one-dimensional, it feeds right into what Alabama wants to do. They're going to force Milton to throw the football because they know if he throws it more, he's more susceptible to interceptions, overthrown balls, 3-and-out, stuff like that.
And look, Texas A&M's been a team that's been really good at stopping the run, and Tennessee still ran for 230 yards on him. Adam is in Portland and is on the line with a thought on Joe Milton. What's up, Adam?
Hey, Caroline. It's been a long time.
Missed ya.
You know what's wild? I don't think I'm not a Joe defender or anything by any means, but I think we all knew exactly what Joe was coming into. I'm not mad at him at all. Like, he's got a rocket. Like, he's got Uncle Rico rocket, but he also has Uncle Rico's accuracy, and we know that he has Uncle Rico's accuracy. So, like, I'm not mad at him for that. What it makes me think is
but
that
correct me if I'm wrong, Uncle Rico was a really good high school quarterback, wasn't he?
He could have won state.
In 1982.
Could have won state.
Yeah.
He never got put in. That can't be by anybody but Uncle Rico. But, hey, look, but it makes me think that Hendon Hooker was a really good quarterback. And I wonder, like, because the offense is hard, right? Like, it's not the easiest offense in the SEC. It might be the hardest offense in the country to run and need a really, really good quarterback. So I think, you know, the verdict's still out. Like, the jury's still out when we see Hendon as a pro. But I think he's just a really fantastic quarterback. I think it's a hard offense, and he was really good.
Adam, did you feel that way after Tennessee beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl?
You know what? That game was such an anomaly to me because I wasn't expecting him to play so well. But I haven't seen the same guy. Like, I don't know. Maybe Josh is like, you know, polished the playbook or started to bring some stuff down. I don't know. It doesn't look like the same person to me, same play. I don't know, Caroline. No, the answer's no. I was so stunned that he played so well. I expected us to get boat race that game, and we didn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Adam. And
well, it goes right to what Willie said. He's going to have maybe 1 or 2 games where the numbers are just, you're looking like, wow. But for the most part, he is what he's shown us.
And
an okay quarterback at best.
And what we've seen so far this year from Clemson is maybe they're just not that good of a football team. And look, Joe Milton can take advantage of bad defenses. We saw Tennessee put up 40-plus against South Carolina with a bad defense. Like, he's not an inept quarterback. He just can't elevate your football team. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. The Predators are in action tonight, and a very familiar face makes his return to Bridgestone Arena. Willy's evaluation of what he saw from the Predators on Saturday night in Boston, what he wants to see tonight, plus Matthias Ekholm's return. Caroline, Willy, D-Mace, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends over at Black Tie Moving. And when you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. I moved with Black Tie Moving over the summer, and it was such a pleasant and easy and stress-free moving experience. And you're probably thinking, what in the world? How can a moving experience be stress-free? I get it. I know. I've had several stressful moving experiences. But everything with Black Tie, from the very beginning when I had my first phone call with a local professional moving consultant, they were open and honest about timing, about pricing. And once my moving day came and the movers came in, they took such great care of all of my things. They took such great care of the place that I was moving out of and the place that I was moving into. I truly cannot recommend them enough. It was a great experience with Black Tie. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is 615-437-8401. And be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off your next move. And then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolex. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I get my Dunks every morning. I grew up with Dunkin' in Boston, and it's been my favorite ever since. Fall in love with Dunkin's pumpkin coffee, lattes, muffins, and donuts. Made with their signature high-quality coffee, each sip and bite is sure to delight. Perfect for those cool autumn mornings or as a sweet treat any time of day. You won't be able to resist the delicious pumpkin flavor. Get pumped for pumpkin. Stop by Dunkin' today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-326-7765 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-326-7765. That's 800-326-7765. What do you have to lose? Call 800-326-7765. Again, 800-326-7765.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Give him passes. Let him shoot. He's hot.
Is that Yakov Trenin? He's hot.
He's talking about his teammate, his line mate, Colton Sissons. 3 goals in the first 3 games.
Killing it.
Keep getting him the rock.
Absolutely killing it. Some vintage herd line love there.
Yes.
With a little bit of Yakov Trenin love to Colton Sissons. But the Predators are in action tonight against the Edmonton Oilers. Puck drop at 7 o'clock. Pre-game here on 102.5, The Game at 6 o'clock. So we're live out here at Pete and Terry's Tavern at Bridgestone Arena. One thing that I know, and we'll get into the matchup, because I know that the Edmonton Oilers always give Predators fans nightmares just because some reason that team has the Predators number. But Mattias Ekholm makes his return to Bridgestone Arena. And I know it's going to be an emotional night for him and the rest of the team. And Robbie Stanley tweeted something out when he talked to Mattias Ekholm. He said, Robbie asked Mattias Ekholm about whether or not he ever had the chance to kind of recuperate, take a breath after the trade, and he said, not really. I think that kind of sunk in here a couple of weeks ago when you're like, okay, I'm actually going back. I got the call at 4:30. You leave the next morning at 8 in the morning. You don't really have a chance to think about it more than it's emotional at the time and it's a whirlwind, but then I got right into it. We won some games. We played some good hockey. You almost put it on the back burner a little bit, and then it comes up now in the summer. You saw the date. We're going here early in the season, which I kind of like, so you kind of get it out of the way and don't have to think about it the whole year. It's going to be special. I think a part of it is to let it be special too. It's one of those nights. I'm never going to spend 10 plus years in another organization in my hockey career. In that regard, it's going to be special, and I'm trying to embrace it. So clearly an emotional night for Mattias Ekholm.
Oh, yeah, and they're going to do it upright on the Jumbotron, and there's going to be a great tribute, and it is going to bring back some great memories. I mean, it's still – and I think Gus Nyquist is a tremendous class player. He's underrated. Everybody is raving about what he does behind the scenes, how he carries himself. But it's weird seeing him wear number 14.
Yeah.
Right? And so he's zooming around out there, and you still in your mind are thinking, is that Ekholm? But that's not, right? Because Ekholm wore that number for so long. It's just natural. So here comes
etched
Ekholm.
in your brain.
Yeah, it will be emotional. And what's interesting is Ekholm has done everything that the Oilers hoped he would do. They went 18-2-1 after the trade last year. He stabilized their blue line. Now, the postseason run fell short, but I think they felt like, he gives them what they need on the blue line to go with the Werewolves. I'm thinking Werewolves because they just hung one here in the Pete and Terry's. And you got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl that definitely are spooky here at Halloween time coming into this building. But Ekholm stabilizes the back end for them so they can go do their thing. So that will be the theme of the night tonight. Those two things, right? Ekholm for the first time, and can you contain Werewolf 1 and Werewolf 2?
Well, you better be able to because if you can, it's going to be a long night on that ice. But I'm sure it's it's emotional for Ekholm. You just think as a former player, being at a place for so long, then not because it's happening, and you just got to get immersed into the next thing that's going on. For him, it was the trade, get in with a team and try to fit in as quickly as possible. And it's not until things slow down that you can really sort of let it all sink in.
What was your first time back as a Raven versus the Titans? What were your emotions?
It was that next following season.
I remember the game.
Yeah, it was the emotions were high. It was, because you're going back. One is like,
and it was
now
surreal
I'm
for the
going,
fans, just like
yeah.
it's going to be surreal tonight. Steve McNair and Derek Mason and Samari Roll playing in Ravens jerseys, and that was odd that first time.
But you come in and it's like, man, I usually make this quick right to come into the locker room. Now I got to walk past it and walk further down. I'm sure those are things that Ekholm, will sort of, once he sort of walks through the building, was like, oh, I remember going into this locker room.
Yep.
Now I'm going to the next locker room. Then when you come on the ice, it's like, then you see the fans. And then it brings back all of those memories. And if I'm the Predators, I try to soften them up as much as possible. Go overboard.
Get the tears coming.
Go overboard and just get the tears going. Get them out of the game somehow, some way. But it's going to be, I know for he and his family, it's going to be exciting to be back here in Nashville, and to play on this ice. I'm sure he would love to have finished out his career as a Predator. Who wouldn't have? But circumstance didn't dictate that, but he's still playing good hockey. Get to come back, and the fans will love on him. But once that puck is dropped, then they'll start booing him.
All bets
but
are
off. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
What do you want to see tonight, Willie?
Well, I think that the obvious thing that we say every time is you cannot let the Oilers – you're going to commit a couple of penalties, right? You're not going to go through a game and have 0 penalties, especially as hard as McDavid is to contain. It's the reason that Michael Jordan and LeBron James and the best players end up at the free throw line a lot of times. It's hard to guard them without fouling them some. So it's going to happen a few times. But you don't want to give them 5 or 6, right? Let's have that number be around 2 or 3. That's probably ideal. Because they just go to town. They are the best power play. And we saw Tampa's power play. We saw Boston's power play. Those are great power plays. This one is at another level. This one is at a extreme level that I don't know if I've ever seen since I've been doing games in the league. It's that good. I'm curious to see how this system, we've talked about the system a lot, they are ending up with a lot of chances. They've had chances to win all 3 games against very, very good opponents. In fact, Andrew Brunette told us, hey, we feel like, we've played well enough to win in all 3. We've kind of left some points on the table. You hope to get another point somewhere in there, but they couldn't do it. A lot of it is because the special teams have not had great results, and so that's why special teams will be huge tonight. But at 5-on-5, if you can make the Oilers defend, easier said than done. If you can have those stretch passes and put Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl having to defend instead of them right in front of your goalie, that's maybe the best defense is offense, right? Make them play in their end.
Right, yeah, and it's going to be interesting because I know that every single Predators fan sees that name and thinks, gosh, like that's going to be the one that's kind of a tough pill to swallow because you've got 2 werewolves, I'll use your name, 2 supermen, however you want to use it, in McDavid and Draisaitl. So how are you able to hold your own?
So you think more of a, which Brunette wants them to be, more of a offensive unit.
Yes.
We're going to play defense, but we want to push the puck. We want to push the puck. Yeah.
Keep the puck away from them. And you have to convert. The weakness of the Oilers has been and still is in the first 2 games. Now, this is the problem. They're going to come in angry as heck. They went 0-2 to start. Yeah. They lost their first game 8-1. So they're probably glad to get out of Edmonton, out of Canada, and get away because everybody's been howling there, not to, again, make the werewolf reference there. But so that's a challenge. They're going to come in edgy, ticked off, motivated, so that's going to make it even tougher. But if you can force them to defend and try to expose their weakness, which has been their goaltending, that's what you have to convert.
That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman & Company's up next.
Be love and love on your people.